And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another round of the Bandit Racing League's Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series, presented by Full Send Racing Network. We were having a bit of a snafu there for a brief moment. Just want to give you guys a quick heads up here. Just had a bit of an inconsistent sort of internet outage there between connection with our side here on YouTube for just a moment there at the start of the hour. We're hoping that'll be long past and in the background. But if anything happens to go wrong during the broadcast, just know it will be fixed as soon as possible, and we'll try to find a way to get through it. But hopefully now we're in a good spell, and we should be good to the end. But welcome, folks, to the next chapter outdoors 125 at Kentucky Motor Speedway, presented by, of course, Full Send Racing Network. You guys know who I am. I am, as always, your host here on the broadcast, your producer, your color, your play-by-play commentator of sorts, everything here on the Bandit Racing League, and I am excited for tonight's race to get started. Remember, we're in the race for the championship, folks. Only 3 more races left to go here in this season of the Bandit Racing League, including tonight. We got this week, we got Richmond next week, and we got our finale at Phoenix Raceway. I'm really excited to get going, and just announced this week on our Bandit Racing League Discord channel, that is, well, it's driver exclusive, so not a public thing, but it is now. We have a new prize for the champion of Season 10 of the Bandit Racing League. Look at these sweet rings. Well, only one ring, but a couple angles of the championship ring that will be awarded to the driver who wins this season's championship. That is by far the most extravagant, by far the most, I would say, sought-after prize we have ever handed out here in the Bandit Racing League, and it will be awarded to our champion at the end of the race for the championship. So there you go, your prize for the winner of this season. And in 3 races time, that could be one of a number of drivers, but as we'll talk about throughout tonight's broadcast, there are a couple guys you're going to want to watch out for, as I would say this season is essentially down to about 4 or 5 contenders for the championship at this point in the playoffs. But we'll talk more about that. For now, not joining us in the broadcast booth tonight as a full-time commentator, but as somebody we are going to get a chance to talk to, and he's joined us many times in the past. He's going to talk about tonight's sponsorship. That is Dawson Guzik, and tonight it is the Next Chapter Outdoors 125 here at Kentucky, and we are going to have Dawson Guzik hopping in the broadcast booth with us here momentarily to go over it very quickly. Seeing we're having a little bit of a stutter, bit of a moment, but we're going to get through it. Let me know in the YouTube chat, as always, if we have any issues or if things become too unbearable. Just let me know, try to keep me updated, and I'll do everything I can on my side. And just so you guys know, we will talk a little bit more about last week's prize as a result of Fan Appreciation Night as well. We did give out some t-shirts, and we will now have to give you guys some information on how to reach out about those. It was a bit of a change in the way we're doing that giveaway, so we will give you the information you need here momentarily. But now, before we get too far, let's hop here in the broadcast booth alongside Dawson Guzik. Here I am, Mr. Marshall Crocker Jr., as always, your host here on the Full Send Racing Network, and let's get Mr. Dawson Guzik here in the booth alongside me. Hey, Dawson, it is Marshall up in the broadcast booth. Do you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
How's it going, Dawson? Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you. We talked to you plenty in the last couple weeks, as you've been a great friend of the channel, been a pretty consistent color commentator alongside us the last couple weeks. But tonight here at Kentucky, you are our race sponsor on behalf of Next Chapter Outdoors, so we'll show some graphics for you. But do you want to explain a little bit about what Next Chapter Outdoors does, and give us some info here at home?
Yeah, so Next Chapter Outdoors was kind of an idea that my dad and I had a couple of years back. We decided to start it after my dad ended up having a quadruple bypass surgery. It was kind of a surprise to all of us, and he never had a heart attack or anything, so that was good. He's all healthy and everything like that. But this is kind of like his way of, trying to track that, getting back to being healthy, and kind of joined him in on that a little bit. We called it Next Chapter Outdoors because we ended up, it kind of gave him a new chapter of his life. And then, I was kind of like, my racing career was kind of coming down from racing motocross, and, I was kind of looking forward to the next chapter of my life, and that was, starting a family and, doing some hunting and all that kind of stuff. So what we do, we try to motivate people to get outdoors and, just try to stay motivated and kind of be fit by being outdoors. We're big hunters. That's kind of one of the big things of the page. You'll see hunting and fishing. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it.
Awesome. Well, we have the link to everything you guys are working on. We got the Facebook page link there in the description down below. So we are really happy to give you guys the spotlight tonight. Really glad you guys are representing us tonight. And one of the final, probably the most pivotal race of this season so far here tonight at Kentucky. So it's a pleasure to talk to you again, Dawson. Thanks for giving us more info. And good to see you out there on the track repping the sponsorship night. Hope to see that 44 car have a pretty good race here.
Yeah, agreed. I just got a couple shout outs real quick. I just want to give a shout out to Next Chapter Outdoors and my family for helping support this race. I got a buddy of mine, Corey Husting. He does Phantom Fact Society's podcast as well, so go check that out on Apple Podcasts. I also had a buddy of mine from college just recently pass away this week, so just want to give a shout out to my buddy John. We're thinking about him and his family. So yeah, I appreciate the time and good talking to you.
Perfect. Great to talk to you. Again, have a good night. Have some good luck there. And again, thank you so much on behalf of Next Chapter Outdoors for sponsoring us tonight. Awesome. Well, it was great to get the chance there to speak to Dawson Guzik. I always like to talk to the sponsors here, kind of firsthand and get their own personal take on the sponsor, because I can only do so much with the information I've given to rep our weekly sponsors, because they are what make this series go round. We are lucky to have them and supporting us every week, helping, I would say, keep the lights on, but really here on it's kind of a mutual agreement here. We love to give some shout outs to some smaller, homegrown, some more local businesses, and I think that's one of the nice affordances of being a more humbly sized series like the Bandit Racing League, as we get the chance to shout out some really cool people and touch on a lot of individuals in our sponsorships rather than major corporations. But I get NASCAR, you're a massive company. It's what you got to do. So, well, we talked to Dawson Guzik here, and hopefully you guys aren't experiencing any issues there on the broadcast end on your side. But tonight we have something a little bit different for you. We're going to talk to somebody I don't believe I don't believe I've ever talked to here in general in person here on the broadcast. So tonight we're going to talk to, as I get the ticker up there on the top for you, we're going to talk to Nicole Crisel. I'm not positive of the pronunciation of her last name, and I'm not somebody who likes butchering last names, so I'm going to hold off on that. But she has been our race director all season here in season number 10 of the Bandit Racing League, so I thought it'd be important tonight to get her perspective, get a chance to talk to her before the season comes to an end, and we'll have qualifying here in the background. You'll see the results up on the top of the ticker, but we're going to pull her in here in qualifying and just introduce her to you guys at home before the season ends, because she plays a big part behind the scenes and a massive role that we want to make sure we highlight. Hey, Nicole, it is Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yep. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Welcome. The first time we've really got a chance to speak, and the first time we've been able to introduce you to the fans at home. Our race director, of course, for season 10 of the Bandit Racing League. I know it's been a very busy season, a lot going on. Probably one of the tougher seasons anybody's had to race direct in this series in a while, but it's a pleasure to get a chance to talk to you, and we wanted to give you the chance to just introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you do. So week to week here, as the race director in the Bandit Racing League, what do your roles look like, and what's it been like joining the series this year?
It's actually been pretty fun and interesting. This is my first time as being RC in a league. So I've been, iRacing for like 2.5 years. So kind of different, trying to learn different aspects of it and stuff. And it's, I just look out for what's going on, during the race, and making sure that if there's any kind of cautions or if I need to throw cautions, anything to that aspect of it.
And so this year, we've seen some races that have been pretty green flag consistent, but we've also seen some races that have been a little bit more chaotic. Like last week's race at Martinsville, definitely a little bit more, car-to-car contact than you're used to. That was when you knew it was going to be tough. So is it, how much variety is there in terms of weeks? Are there some weeks where you feel like your job is made pretty easy, you just get a chance to watch the race, and are there some weeks where it's pretty chaotic and you feel like you got a lot to balance?
Yeah, some weeks, like last week, was pretty chaotic with all the cautions and stuff, and you're trying to look to see what's happening, where it's happening. I try and listen also on the radio for kind of chatter to see if somebody's spinning out, and if I need to throw a caution, if iRacing doesn't throw it, things like that.
Well, just before we wrap up here, is there any information, because obviously we are on the broadcast, we like to talk about the people, like to really, get in depth with the faces and the names here behind the Bandit Racing League. So if you were to kind of explain yourself, talk a little bit about your background here on maybe in sim racing and racing in general, and just if you want the fans at home to know something about you, what would that be?
Well, I do like racing. So racing, I've gone to a couple, race tracks and stuff, and I'm just trying to learn more about it because, being, I want to say, a woman, I don't know a lot about cars, so trying to do this and, getting setups right and, trying to figure out what's loose, what's tight, that's all new to me. So I'm, still learning on everything on that one.
Yeah, well, aren't we all? I think we all here in the Bandit Racing League play different roles. My role here as a broadcaster is different to yours as a race director versus Bill as a series owner versus a driver. So that's what's beautiful is everybody gets all different parts of the sim. And I think what's great about iRacing is, yeah, even if you don't have that real world knowledge, I know I certainly don't to the level I'd like, you can definitely still fit in here in this community. So it's a pleasure to talk to you, Nicole. Great to finally meet you. And we sincerely thank you for everything you do, because without your services and without your keeping the guys in order, we wouldn't have the series. We wouldn't have the great races we've had this season. So sincerely thank you. I'll let you get back to doing your thing tonight, but it's great to take the time with us. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
There you go. And that was Nicole. Again, I'm not going to attempt to butcher her last name. I'm usually with spelling, grammar, and pronunciation. That is the three things I just do not mess with. I like to kind of leave that to people if they want to pronounce it, and then I'll work from there once I figure it out. But Nicole, our race director, sincerely thank you for jumping in with us here tonight. Thank you for introducing yourself to the friends and family at home and learning a little bit more about the Bandit Racing League community. Good to hear that we have no real problems for you guys graphically in the chat. We're not having too many outages, so just another one of my typical little stresses that really don't mean much in the grand scheme of things, which is good. So hopefully it stays that way for the rest of the race. And now we can get into qualifying, which is coming towards an end here as we finish up the previous interview. We're now 3 minutes in, so most of the guys have run their laps for tonight on their way to attempting to get the Rogue Energy Pole Award for tonight's race at Kentucky. Right now it's Nick Nickerson top of the board there in the number 2 car. Last week's winner won 3 of the last 4, and he is your points leader, as we'll talk about here in just a moment. But Benjamin Lacey, you see here on track, finishing up his lap. Brett Guzik there in second. Nick and Brett fastest in practice by about 0.2 of a second. That's a pretty comfortable margin. You got to think they're going to be in a good spot tonight. Jackson Knock, though, is a name I notice here. The 00 car, really good start to his night there. Qualifying top 5 at the moment. Here's Kevin Foster coming off of turn number 3, I should say here, and the tri-oval at Kentucky Speedway across the line. Good lap time there for Kevin Foster. The 8 car is going to put it up in the top 10, which in tonight's field of currently 20 drivers does put him comfortably in the top half. Notable names there in the bottom and include Mark Allen Bivens, so you can see by the P next to his name is a playoff driver. Same with Jason Greenwell, as well as Cody Welch there, currently down in 17th. So looking like we got 21 cars in tonight's field as we come towards the end of qualifying. But as I was just alluding to there a moment ago, we got to tell you a little bit more about what this series and what this season points like is shaping up as, with only 3 races to go. Because as I was kind of suggesting last week towards the end of the race, we're running out of time. If you're a driver in this league and you're still hoping for the championship, if you're outside of that top 5 area, tonight is kind of that last opportunity you have to really go for it, really send it, really try to pick up some valuable points and go for a truly top of the line level position. So we look like we are joined here in the broadcast booth, or should be momentarily here, by our co-commentator for tonight. Here he is alongside me, Sean Britt. Welcome back into the broadcast booth here. He's co-commentated with us a couple times, so as we just finish up here talking about the points, you can see on your screen, Nickerson with a 22-point lead over Benjamin Lacey, and 24s over Guzik, 26 over Daffin, 42 over Hamilton and Bivens. Then it's Ricky Hart, Curtis Yancey, and you can see your way down the rest of the list. So we're coming to the end of qualifying here, but we got Sean Britt joining us in the broadcast booth. First of all, welcome, Sean, as we get ready for tonight's race. And tonight's race, Kentucky, intermediate oval, 1.5 miles and 3 races to go. Are there any guys in your experience you think tend to suit the intermediate race as well? Any guys you're looking for tonight? And just what's an intermediate racetrack like at this point in the season?
I think it's let's hope that we have what happened season 9 at the very end. I think the big guys is Nick Nickerson. Obviously, we also got our last winner at our 1.5 miles, Alec Daffin. He's a good racer. I would also have Brandon Jackson as well up there as well.
Yeah, I think all good picks. Brandon, not 1.5 miles. Actually, maybe 1.5 miles over now that I think about it. Homestead, Miami has really been his dominant track the last couple seasons here in the Bandit Racing League, so he is always a threat at this particular length. Brandon not qualifying in the top 10, though. Looking to see maybe he's further down the leaderboard. But no, I think you're dead right. I think a lot of the typical playoff talented drivers are going to do quite well here tonight. So this is one that I think will really shake up that top 4, top 5 there in the points you saw. The Laceys, the Guziks, the Nickersons of the world. Maybe for guys a little bit down the field, again, could be a really good opportunity, but I just think this is going to be a fun race flat out. These intermediate tracks like a Kentucky, like a Texas, like we had previous in the season, you can definitely run too wide. You can definitely get some crazy restarts. And as we see Nick having a couple internet dropouts, I think that's what we're hoping to see there. Cody Welch clearly on his second lap as we wait to get started tonight. And Nick is the Rogue Energy Pull Award winner, as you see on your screen. Thank you as always to Rogue Energy for their support of the series. And Nick going to be leading us off of pit road there, getting ready for the warm-up lap in just a moment. But we'll go through your starting grid here tonight. But Cody Welch there, after originally being 17th there late in qualifying, really picked it up there at the end and is going to put himself on the front row. But there is your starting order as we take down your timing tower here for tonight's race. The starting grid here at Kentucky for the Next Chapter Outdoors 125, presented by Next Chapter Outdoors. So, on the pole for GFR Racing, Nick Nickerson in the 2-car rolls off alongside Cody Welch, former championship rival for Season 8 of the Bandit Racing League. Cody's a guy we've seen many a times, having a couple glitches here. Hopefully those get sorted out here. We'll fix it in just a moment if not. But we got Cody Welch there on the outside of row number 1. Then it's Ricky Hart and Brett Guzik on row number 2. Benny Hogan, last week's podium finisher at... Oh, it's been a week. It's been a long week at Martinsville, I should say. Got that late race podium done there to finish second. He starts 5th tonight alongside Jackson Knock. Christopher Hamilton, Benjamin Lacey on row number 4. Curtis Yancey and Alec Daffin will make up row number 5. Kevin Foster and Dawson Guzik will make up row number 6. Moving our way down the rest of the field. In 13th, we're going to have David Lakey starting alongside Nolan Gross. Mark Allen Bivens, playoff driver, alongside Connor Gibson there starting in 16th. Eddie Haggy and Jason Greenwell will make up row number 9. Number 10 to round off your top 20 is Michael Ramos, who makes his return to the series in the 27 car, starting alongside Bill Harkins. And with that, we get to Hayden Paul in the 54 car. We'll round off tonight's 21 car field in the Next Chapter Outdoors 125 at Kentucky. A lot of good names up there towards the top and a lot of talented drivers, the Bivens of the world, guys like even Michael Ramos, not a playoff driver, but definitely very fast in the past. We got some good names all over the field, Sean. I'm really excited to get started, but here we go. About to see the green flag fly. It's Welch, it's Nickerson on the front row, but the 2-car is in control. He won last week at Martinsville. Can he do it again at Kentucky? Green flag for the Next Chapter Outdoors 125.
Easily going to take control of the lead with Cody Welch in second. And third, they're going to have a battle for third with Ricky Hart and Brett Guzik.
Yeah, that battle there for fourth kind of forming up as Ricky Hart going to go all the way to the outside. Guzik going to hold his own on the bottom, back to that all-black scheme we saw him run a couple weeks back. Or no, it's kind of a actually interesting, kind of a camo scheme he's running a little bit different. And something kind of new there. New paint on the 04 car. We'll see if he puts it to good use tonight. Now for 5th, Benny Hogan trying to hold off Jackson Knock here as again a couple more dropouts here momentarily. But side by side we go here through turns number 1 and 2. Jackson Knock, and that is Benny Hogan keeping his own on the inside. Not going to get the better run off of turn number 2. The 00 should clear. Actually going to get held up a little bit there behind Brett Guzik in turn number 3, so he'll stop by. Alec Daffin, though, 3 spots already through the field. He started at the back end of the top 10, working his way up to 7th. That could be 6th very quickly if that momentum carries around the outside of Benny Hogan, which it might. They go side by side down towards turn number 1, still up front. Nick clear of Cody by 0.2 of a second.
Everyone's starting to go into single file line. We still have a battle for 7th.
Yeah, still a little ways back down the field. It is the 7 of Benjamin Lacey, who's kind of, well, actually, no, he hasn't fallen back. Felt like he was starting to make progress there in those first couple corners, but did start 8th where he started. So here goes Jackson Knock there once again, getting some good momentum at the top. The 00 was fast in practice, and they're really good right now. One of those non-playoff guys similar to Benny Hogan that can really upset the order here. Not to mention Cody Welch there, up all the way in 2nd. Staying with Nick Nickerson, that's what you like to see. He's not letting him get too far ahead, and you know, if we want anybody to sort of upset the order of ways that we've seen the last couple of weeks, that being Nick being borderline completely dominant, that's what we're going to need to see.
Jackson Knox is still keeping up pace as he's going to be battling with Benjamin Lacey.
Yeah, still they go side by side. The Milwaukee, Wisconsin native Jackson Knock there. Really, really stellar night. He was hoping I could get him tonight on commentary. We just didn't have a way to make it work before the race. Decided to hop back in the car, but man, I'm glad he did so far because look at the start he's had. He's fallen back a little bit there. Was up to 6th for a moment. Has sort of shuffled back on that outside lane as the inside lane starts to train up a little bit, but still running really solidly there in the top 10. Christopher Hamilton, playoff driver there. In behind, you see the 15 car, the part camo, part red entry behind him, weaving his way around. still a really great start for Jackson Dock, hoping he can settle into the bottom. Nonetheless, he's wasting less tires than the guys in the bottom are, because the lower lane is pitching rubber up a little bit more. And I mean, I would say, Sean, from your perspective, it's got to be a balance, right? Even if you're making lap times like this, if you can stay in the top 10 and conserve tires better, might not be a bad idea, as opposed to just moving your way forward.
Yeah, with these guys, I'm wondering if they're all just going to stick to the bottom like we had happen with some other tracks like Texas, or if everyone's just going to slowly jump to the top.
It is really a case of, you got to watch the race to see, because I don't think these guys really know. I think every driver has individually a preference on what they think is the fastest way around the track lap after lap, but it's a question of what works for you on the longer runs. Up front here, we got a fun little tussle for the lead here in a battle that I don't think we've seen in a couple seasons, I would hesitate to say here, because Cody Welch, the 85 car, he's run a part-time schedule since the middle of the season, didn't make the playoffs due to missing too many races, but now that he's back, now that he's a force in the series again, this is probably the best early run we've seen from him in a long time. He is challenging that number 2 car, and Sean, they are pulling away now a full second to Ricky Hart Jr., a second and a half to fourth on back, and here goes Cody down the inside to turn number 3. For the first time in 2 weeks, we could have a new leader here in the Bandit Racing League, and we do. Off of turn number 4, folks, he is back. The 85 car is going to lead the 9th lap here at Kentucky. Get excited, Cody Welch fans in the chat. I know there's plenty of them.
Now, I'm starting to wonder if maybe Nick is just starting to go and let Cody Welch go and take the lead, so he can either save fuel and also save tires, because maybe he might warn his stuff a little bit.
I mean, that's the thing. I think after the last couple weeks Nick's had, he's won 3 out of the last 4 races in the series. He's been so dominant for a reason. He just gets out front. He avoids the chaos. He controls the race at his own pace. I think that's what he's got to do tonight, and that's what I think he's trying to do, is, just get up front as many times as he can, lead from pole, or get essentially the pole very early, past the pole sitter, and then just take off and control your own destiny. And tonight with Cody Welch in front of him, and now Ricky Hart kind of catching up a little bit, slow, bit by bit. Now that gap's down to 9/10 rather than 11. There's always the chance that this race doesn't have quite that number 2 car domination early on as we've seen lately, and I think that's what it's going to take to see something a little bit different here as far as the final result goes. But right now, aside from Cody Welch, 8 playoff drivers here in the top 10. It's going to be a good night for those guys looking for points, but it's all going to be for naught if that 2 car of Nick Nickerson doesn't start falling back.
Cody Welch, I think, is going to have a really good night. I don't know where he's going to finish, but I hope he finishes well, and I hope that, I guess for everyone else, they hope that he wins too, because it's been how long has it been since he won? It's been a good bit, hasn't it?
So the last race I checked, I had the streak up to 47 races. That would make it 48 this week. So a guy that won 3 out of 4 races in season number 8 when last he won. His last win came at Rockingham, did Cody Welch in the 85. It has now been 48 races since that last win at Rockingham. An incredible streak that I don't think anybody in the entire series ever would have predicted. So things change, and that's what you kind of learn as a racing driver here, Sean, is you can't take wins for granted, especially not the Bandit Racing League, where between top guys like Nick Nickerson and top talents like Benjamin Lacey, Brett Guzik, and the occasional crazy race where we see a first time or a different winner, you can take race wins for granted here in the Bandit Racing League, and I'm sure Cody didn't, but just kind of teaches you the important lesson, and I know he'd love to get back in victory lane tonight.
No, I agree.
Back here looking towards the back end of the top 10. Remember, again, Benny Hogan, we were talking about before, had that podium last week there at Martinsville that was so clutch there in those final couple laps. Probably the 2 most fun closing laps to a race I've seen in a very, very long time. He capitalized late, got past both Brett Guzik and Benjamin Lacey. Really clutch there at the end, and as a result, he came home with 2nd. I think going to look to get back towards the top 5 here tonight. He had really good pace. I think he was 5th in the practice order there earlier tonight. So down to 8th right now, probably not where Benny Hogan's looking to be, but we've kind of formed out into a single file line here. You'll see from the standing camera as the cars shoot by into turn number 3. It's getting a little bit linear here. I think guys tonight pretty content sitting where they are right now, trying to figure out the track, trying to figure out their wear for later. But this is one of those races here, Sean, that intermediates this year, we've seen a lot of green flag races. We've seen a couple that go green to the end, no cautions at all. Not necessarily speaking into existence that that's what's going to happen, But I don't think we should be surprised if this race does truly just, sail along. Guys kind of settle into a groove. We don't see too many cautions. And that could, suggest that if you're one of those guys up front right now and what you're doing is working, you're conserving well, I don't think you have much to change. Or if you're one of the guys in the back and this thing is going to go green, you're not going to get a caution a bunch after the guys in front. You're really going to want to put the pedal down.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm looking for, as I'm seeing Alec Daffin and Benjamin Lacey, you can kind of see these two guys using two different lanes. Alec Daffin was kind of using the bottom, and I've been using the bottom as well. But earlier, he was using the top, and I was wondering if maybe he was trying to conserve tires as well.
Oh,
I'm
perfect.
starting to see that bottom line is starting to be really good and effective. Maybe that bottom line might be the line just like Texas, like we had.
Yeah, very well could be. Guys seem to be super confident there right now. I mean, I think everybody, save maybe 2 drivers I've seen, has opted to run maybe a half line up there, kind of middle of the track through 1, 2, 3, and 4. I personally think that if that many guys are going that direction, that seems to be the common strategy, even just running single file. This isn't guys defending or passing for position. This is just where guys feel comfortable running lap after lap here at the beginning. Then I think there's some merit to the bottom line being pretty quick. And as you mentioned there, Sean, it was the strategy at Texas, very similar racetrack to Kentucky. Wouldn't be surprised if we see guys start falling back to the bottom, and the real passes happen when guys get a slipstream, get a move done up top, or just get a slipstream down the back stretch or the front stretch and send it into a corner, which we might see right now. Might be perfect timing on me saying that, because the 2 car gonna get late on the brakes here, back side by side, looking for the lead again. Cody Welch took it over from about 10 laps ago, and he's going to shut the door from the outside of the line. Holds the momentum, should hold it off in the straightaway. But here comes a teammate there for GFR Racing. Ricky Hart Jr., driver of the number 1 car, might be coming to give his teammate a little bit of help, or because he is a championship rival of Nick, might be giving him some a little bit more trouble, might make it even harder to pass the non-playoff number 85.
It's surprising about how much Nick and Cody Welch have used their stuff, because Ricky Hart was just up in front of the pack and just keeping up with everyone else, and now they've dropped from what, it was a second to now 5/10 now.
Yeah, it's really dropping down. There he goes, Ricky Hart Jr. into turn number 1. Just gonna dive underneath comfortably too. Didn't even look like a slide job. Didn't slide back up in front. Just got it locked into the groove and moved his way forward. So that was pretty impressive there. Comfortable move there for the 1. And I almost wonder if there was some level of team orders to that. The GFR guys, if they feel like Ricky Hart in this point is the quicker car, and if, as you said, Sean, Nick has burred up his stuff a little bit too much, maybe that's the play. Put the 1 car in front, let him kind of bulldoze his way through, see if he can get Welch, and then maybe Nick will get his opportunity.
Oh yeah, definitely. What I'm noticing with Ricky and some of the other guys is that they're kind of going through the arc instead of just diving in. Arcing usually helps you be able to turn the car a little bit better with using your brake instead of just using your steering wheel. And that's what I'm seeing with Ricky Hart doing.
Well, we continue to go about 3, maybe 4 wide there up front for the lead. Welch still leading, but Hart getting a good run there on the outside line. Now the inside line, gonna try to cross over there into turn number 1. They get side by side. He's to his quarter panel. Dead even go the 1 in the 85 off of turn number 2. Welch gonna have the more ideal outside line, should get the better run, but I don't think he'll be able to clear him back as we get to turn number 3. It's gonna be close. He doesn't. The 1 car still there off the exit of turn number 3. Here we go. Nick Nickerson too. Don't forget about him. He's right there in the catbird seat, and now Brett's got the gap down to 6/10. Lacey's within about a second. What a competitive race we've seen here early on. We didn't see anything like this. Maybe not last week at Martinsville, because quite a few cautions early kept that thing pretty bunched up. But a couple weeks before there at Texas, we didn't see this. It looked like a lot more domination up front. And now Ricky Hart, great run off of turn number 2. This could be the more comfortable pass for the lead that I think the 1 car was looking for. And here goes his teammate, the 2 car, down to the bottom line. He's going to push him if he needs a little bit more momentum. But the 1 car sliding up a little bit into the 85. Cody keeps his foot in it and does hold him off for now. But I wonder how long. Does slot back in front. The 85 will lead yet another lap.
Now, one thing I'm starting to wonder is, will Ricky be wasting all of his stuff just trying to pass Cody Welch as he goes and drops back a little bit? Because if he diving it down so much, you're going to scrub the tires to where they don't got any grip. And I think that might have happened in turn 4.
Yeah, I would kind of echo Corey Mitchell's comments there in the chat. What a race we've been seeing so far. This is the most competitive top 5, top 6 we've seen for the lead in weeks now. And it all really does come down to, well, a guy that we've seen dominate the last couple weeks from the start of the race. The guy who was our pole sitter surprisingly hasn't been quite as dominant so far this week. Nick kind of got reined in pretty quick by Cody Welch. We've seen a lot more even racing here up front, and I think these intermediate tracks just lend to that. You got to worry about the conservation, which you didn't at Martinsville last week, and that means guys that may seem quick in the short run, like Nick did for a couple laps, maybe as we get a little bit further in, some guys further back could be holding on to better tire situations, and they'll shoot right by you as the stint goes on.
Yeah, I would agree so as well. I'm wondering if maybe Ricky has now realized that he can't go past Welch. Welch is using that high line, so I think he's trying to go and set him as well.
Just to answer a comment there I saw in the YouTube chat, as again we continue to watch. We'll watch off the back bumper actually of Cody Welch to get kind of a different perspective and see what he's looking at out of his rear view mirror, which surely has to be a pretty stressful endeavor right now, as he's got a progressively longer line of cars forming up behind him. The Flushing, Michigan native might watch Ricky Hart Jr. shoot underneath him here into one, but nope, can hold on. You see off the back quarter panel of the 85 car. Just putting them there in the YouTube chat. Sorry, we have had to change the way that we're doing the rollout for the prizes for last week's fan appreciation T-shirt contest. Remember, 3 lucky winners won a T-shirt there towards the back end of last week's broadcast at Martinsville. We had to change the way we were going to roll out. So you guys, if we could get you 3 winners here, hopefully joining us in the chat tonight on tonight's broadcast. If you could email the email I just put down there in the description below, go to our series director Bill Harkins. He will set you up, get your shirt of choice, your color preference, and we'll get your information to get it sent to you there for that contest. So the 3 winners of last week's T-shirt giveaway, please email the following email there. Just give a little bit of info, put your name. We'll make sure we get everything figured out there for you. But to answer a question I saw a little bit previous as far as how high the banking was here, Corey Mitchell asked how high the banking is here at Kentucky. I can't give you an exact number, but I think we could probably both agree, Sean, just from doing the eyeball test compared to something like a Texas, it's not a particularly aggressive bank track, but I think it's one of those ovals that just, the natural kind of, the length of the straightaways perfectly blends into the size of the corners, where you can really run anywhere on track, but you're doing just a little bit of tapping the gas, tapping the throttle, no braking really on entry necessary. But the way these intermediate 1.5 miles tend to go, they're almost perfectly banked to, to get you to naturally run that kind of middle bottom line without being able to just hold the gas on the bottom, as you see at some higher bank tracks like the new Atlanta in real life, the new super speedway format.
Yeah, so I actually did a little bit of research. Turn 1 and 2 is 17 degrees, and turns 3 and 4 is 14 degrees, and the tri-oval part is 8 to 10 degrees.
Perfect. There you go. There's your answer. There you go. The man with the facts. Well, we continue to stay green here. Now 1/4 of the way through tonight's race at Kentucky in round 20 of the Bandit Racing League's race for the championship. 3 rounds away. Who wants that beautiful new ring? And we'll talk a little bit more about it later, but the prize has changed. As we talked about a couple of races back in the series, previously it was the winner of the Bandit Racing League Championship in Season 10 would take over the league, would gain the rights to the Bandit Racing League, but as we'll talk about later, plans there have changed, and now a sweet new ring is going to be the prize for the winner this season, and that's going to be a very deserved prize if you ask me. And I think a lot of these guys do really want to focus on racing. I think they'd rather be drivers in the series rather than have that executive role behind the scenes, though many of our drivers here in the series are admins of the series, do play executive roles, but I think they're drivers at heart. They would love some hardware, and I think we as racing drivers inherently like, special prizes. We like physical items like trophies and like special rings to commemorate our successes, and certainly some successes so far tonight for Cody Welch again, but he has not been able to shake that number 1 car as Ricky Hart Jr. is still right in his back bumper. Benjamin Lacey was being tracked down by Alec Daffin there for that 4th position, but now first pit stops of the race, here they come, Sean, and that was lap number 32, so should be a pretty comfortable 3-stopper, you got to think. And Brett Guzik going to come down pit road, Christopher Hamilton joining him. Benny Hogan there in third man down pit road. Dawson Guzik, tonight's race sponsor for Next Chapter Outdoors, and brother of Brett coming down. Here goes Eddie Haggy, Jason Greenwell, Michael Ramos, and Connor Gibson, as well as David Lakey, Hayden Paul, Nolan Gross all down pit road this time. So everybody from 10th on back coming down pit road this time. Bill Harkin's going to become the last driver in the top 10.
Now, the thing is, from what I've seen, is that Cody Wilson is able to keep up his pace, so is Ricky as well. And we're pulling away from Nick. Surprisingly, they actually gained almost a second from Nick. So I'm wondering if maybe they might want to go and stay out a couple more laps so they can go and get tires at the end, or just want to see how this rolls out with the tires.
Well, I would absolutely otherwise agree with you, but the fact that Nick did just pit, he just came down pit road this lap, I think suddenly it becomes a case of you don't want to let that 2 car do the undercut. And the undercut, for those of you that don't know, is when you pit first compared to somebody else, you take new tires, you run faster laps the first couple laps, you get out in your pit stop. That way, by the time the next series of cars, the cars that stayed out longer on older tires, come back down pit road, you have jumped out ahead of them when they come out, and though they do have fresher tires, you do have track position. I think the way we've seen the leaders between Nick and Cody tonight be able to lead, and Cody is coming down this lap just one lap later, I think the way we've seen the leaders lead tonight, you definitely want to get down as soon as possible. I think that's a good call from Cody. Make sure that Nick can't do the undercut and be back in front of him. I think Ricky's got to think about doing the same thing there out front. You know, the 1 car looking good tonight. He was putting the pressure on Cody Welch. Kind of Cody and Ricky been the 2 guys for the longest time. They have those winless streaks. Ricky is at about 31 races. They both kind of end up as the bridesmaid a lot. And I think tonight, if they want to beat Nick, they can't let him get away with stuff like that. They can't give that track position back. Cody on pit road as we speak. Brett Guzik has jumped out ahead of Nick Mickerson. This is what I'm talking about as we see Ricky down this lap. Alec Daffin going to be the last car on track to stay out here for the lead. I think you got to come down early, because as we're seeing with Brett Guzik, those guys that pitted early are going to come out quite far ahead of the rest of the pack. And here goes Cody Welch, going to get passed by Brett. The question is, can he pass Nick? There goes the 2 car. He's coming up the banking in 1 and 2. 2 car back ahead, 1 lap fresher tires. Can Cody get in the slipstream on him? I think that's going to be the question. Now, Ricky Hart on pit road, teammate of Nick, was previously in second before the pit cycle started. Mark Allen Bivens and Bill Harkins, the last 2 drivers on pit road. There goes Alec Daffin coming down this time. Mark Allen Bivens going to go up to the high sides of the 76 car. Almost two-time race winner this season, but race winner back at Daytona. He is coming out of pit road, and he's going to go run a couple more laps here. I think it's going to lose him time on the track right now, but you know, it's never a bad thing. Run a couple extra laps if you can, because it means your next stint is all that much faster.
Oh yeah, definitely. We've seen him do the same strategy at Texas, and with those last cautions, it just worked out in his favor.
So right now, off of turn number 4 comes Cody Welch. He is behind Nick Nickerson, who is behind Brett Guzik. That would be your battle provisionally for the top 3 spots. And remember, they're all in different situations as far as tire wear. Here's Ricky Hart Jr. alive as he currently runs in 6th. That'll be 5th once Mark Allen Bivens gets cycled out on pit road. He is pitting as we speak. So Mark Allen Bivens is probably going to end up somewhere in the kind of mid-teens, if I had guessed. 12th or 13th would be my prediction. Here goes Ricky Hart. Hard charger on the outside here through 3 and 4. Really good traction on that 1 car just after the entry to the corner. So he is going to jump himself back into the top 4. He's going to get by GFR Racing teammate Christopher Hamilton. So that's right. That's Ricky Hart Jr. This is Cody Welch. That's Christopher at the back end of the top 5. So I'm just really surprised here, Sean, the way that Brett really jumped out in front with that pit cycle. But he's not really losing all that much time. I mean, the gap was... Okay, it was a moment ago, about 2 seconds. Now it's down to about 1.2. So Nick definitely has the momentum on him, but I mean, Brett's not usually a guy we see pit particularly early, but maybe that's a sign that the track position is the way to go tonight. Maybe it's not a bad idea to just get out in front, and that would suggest, wouldn't it to you, Sean, that tonight's going to be a more defensive-oriented race rather than one that's particularly easy to pass at.
Well, with the 125 laps that we got in, these guys being on 32, they could do. It would probably be more safe to do a pre-stop than stop. But with pre-stop, I'm wondering when these guys are going to have to pick for their final time.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You know, I think it was about, what, lap 35, let's say, for the general car 135 will get you to 70 for your second pit stop. Will get you to 115 for your third. Sorry, 105, I should say, for your third. That'll comfortably get you to that last stop. So 2 more pit stops for everybody would be the norm. I think it's just a case of, can you try to minimize, not necessarily fuel. I think fuel will be pretty standard. I don't think anybody will feel the need to conserve that, because I don't think one more stop to the end is possible. I just don't think guys will get a full 85 laps at the 2 pit stops. But I do think there's a chance that tire conservation long-term could be a thing, as we see Nolan Gross there kind of getting in the way. Not necessarily his fault, I only caught it at the end, but kind of holding up the 85 car there momentarily, as he is flying right now. Off of turn number 2 he comes. Sean, we're about to see a pass for the lead here, and again, that 85 car, I think maybe hungrier than anybody we've seen in the series for a long time, because that winless streak, from your perspective as a driver, if you had won 3 out of 4 races and then suddenly didn't win 48 in a row, that's got to do something to you as a driver, wouldn't it?
It would just make you just feel like, how do I get these guys? How do I make myself better? What's the trick? You just keep trying to find out answers as to what it is. And I think this track and this night is going to be for it. As we go and see, Nick is going to dive it onto the inside, and he's going to try and make it stick. But I'm pretty sure that outside line is going to help Brett as still side by side across the line.
Side by side is right. Brett Guzik holding it pretty steady there on the top line, but Nick has just been progressively inching closer and closer. He's on fresher tires by about 3 laps. You got to think this is inevitable, but Cody Welch, even faster, made up that 2.5 gap in a matter of moments. Here he goes, peeking on the bottom, and Nick going to give him a bit of a tap there. Help the 2 car get by the low side of Brett Guzik, which Cody Welch does not care about the championship. I was about to say I was only going to, help the 2 car and discourage the other playoff guys, but Brett back down to the bottom, going to try to cross over off a 4. Don't think he'll get the run, but remember that Cody doesn't care about the playoffs. He's not a playoff driver. He could care less whether Guzik, Nickerson, Lacey, Hart win. Doesn't matter to him. He just wants that 85 car being the first guy we talked to in the broadcast for the post-race, but that's very different for Brett, who knows he needs to make up points on Nick. Currently running second in the points, 22 back of Nick. 3 races to go. It's hard to make up that many points week over week without a mistake from the 2. So capitalize now while you can. And if you're the 04 car, Brett Guzik, hopefully put the 85 car between the 2 of you. But back to the bottom goes Nick, right to the apron on the bottom line. We're going to actually hold it down there with Nick for a couple of corners and just see the line he's running. His defense is seeming tough right now, but he is finding a way. By the 04 car he goes, the 2 car back to the race lead. So that was a hard-fought, spirited scrap for a couple laps, but now it's the 2, the 04, and might be the 85 here momentarily. The top 3 back to qualifying order, as it's the 2, the 85, and the 04.
Welch is able to go and pass Brett Guzik, and I'm betting he's going to be charging to get back to Nick, because he was somehow getting so much speed off of into battling. And that's what happens when 2 cars battle. They just slow up each other. As we see, Welch is going to go and try to look on the inside of Nick, but Nick is going to prevail on that outside.
Yeah, he is. He's going to continue to do what he's done pretty much the entire season. Is once he gets in the lead, he seems to be the best on the entire racetrack at holding guys behind. He just always seems to have that extra line, that extra little bit of insight that helps him find the perfect place to put that car of his. But Ricky Hart Jr. is back in the equation. Here comes the 1 car. Might he get the pass done on the 04 car of Brett Guzik. He did pit later than anybody here in the top 4, so he should realistically be the fastest in this part of the stint. He got by that was the 04 car right there. So Brett Guzik's going backwards. He was your leader a couple laps ago, now down to 4th, but still very much in the equation. Hopefully he finds a second win there with his tires and can work his way forward again. But Cody Welch again, down to the bottom as the 1 car back into the equation. I think if you're Cody, you try to get by the GFR Racing number 2 car before the number 1 car starts breathing down your neck.
Definitely, as we see, Ricky is starting to make a hard charge up to Welch right now, as you can almost put a plane on the 3 of them.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a particularly large blanket either. One of those baby bakies will do. Down again goes Cody Welch here, side by side in turn number 3. This has been a great passing corner all night for those guys on offense. Here comes Cody. Should get it. It's going to be close. Almost got ahead of the quarter panel. I think the 2 will lead it here at the line. Going to be close. It was the 85, so Cody finds a way by now 2/5 of the way through tonight's race here. 50 laps into the next chapter outdoors, 125, and I second what we've seen all night in the broadcast chat. What a race we've been seeing so far. The one car, without me even noticing, gets by as well, going to go with him. That's the kind of race we've had so far, as Brett Guzik has now fallen back into the clutches of not Alec Daffin. I think that's a lap car there, kind of middle of the pack. We've had three big contenders up there all night up front that have really contended for the lead, plus one would argue Brett Guzik, who kind of got ahead on strategy, but is now going to do his best to hold himself in the top four. But it has been a three-car race, and those three cars have been Cody Welch here, who is now back up to the front of the pack. And again, many people are echoing it, the hungriest in the field maybe. Again, he's got something to prove in a lot of ways, not as a playoff driver, but as a guy who wants to prove that 85 car knows what it takes to get back to victory lane. And again, his father's birthday I just saw there in the chat, he's got those additional factors that are pushing him forward, as well as many would argue the best cheering section here in the Bandit Racing League, though the Brett Guzik fans might have something to say about that. But he's up front, Ricky Hart. You want to talk about guys who have something to prove? That one car has been, I mean, I think you would even agree at a certain point, has been kind of the bridesmaid of that GFR Racing stable this season. Nick Nickerson, with 7 wins on the year, has just been dominant all season. But you know, Ricky Hart has had his consistent performances. He's up there in the top 6 in the championship for a reason, but he hasn't scored that win this year. And for GFR Racing, similar to for Team Penske at the Indy 500 and IndyCar, I feel like you got to get a win there to really cement yourself this season as a GFR Racing car. Right now, he's ahead of the guy he's got to beat to do that, and that is Nick Nickerson. We'll see if he can get it done tonight and hopefully make some headway in the championship. And then the guy that we talk about every week, it's Nick Nickerson. He won at Martinsville. He's won 3 of the last 4. He does not have bad races in tonight. As much as we've talked about, hasn't looked as dominant as usual, he's still in the top 3. He's still very much in contention here for the win.
As Brett is starting to drop back even more to where he's almost near top 5 with Alec Daffin and Lacey.
Yeah, Alec Daffin here really starting to close in on the back bumper of him, and he was another one of those guys that pitted later. We'll get the lap time, pit time up on the screen there to compare what lap these guys did come down. Pit strategy-wise, the wrong one there. There we go. Is the 48 car going to peek to the inside? Keep an eye on the back of your screen here. Yeah, I think he's going to comfortably sail under the way he's been going. So take a look at that graphic there. You can see Nick pitted relatively early compared to the rest of the field. Brett Guzik even earlier has now gone 21 laps in this stint, and you see 16 there for Daffin, 5-lap fresher tires. You got to think the 48 car is going to have the advantage here. Same with Benjamin Lacey, who's kind of tucking his way into the background here. That number 7 car is working his way into the fold, but I don't particularly see any reason that again Brett couldn't kind of even himself out there on pace. I mean, he's been impressive so far in this stint. He did drop back to those guys in front, but he's only about a second and a half behind, which for 5 laps is worth of tires. That's no small feat whatsoever. That's a pretty considerable amount of lack of rubber compared to the guys in front. I don't know if this is the our connection to the server or something tonight, but a lot of guys, I know whenever I hear the throttle, whenever we get a driver's perspective in car, they always seem to be feathering the throttle at times. There's a lot of work they're doing, even mid straightaway, kind of coming up to the corner there. A lot of throttle work as the L4 car does finally get passed by the 48 of Daffin. But Sean, is there any reason you can imagine from a driver's perspective that you'd be doing that much like quick tap throttle work there in the corners here at an intermediate track like Kentucky?
Well, sometimes a driver, when you want to brake, you never want to let off the gas type of pedals to save tires. You always want to have the brake, and you want to have the gas. And I think what they're trying to do is also save tires, so they're kind of bring the throttle so it doesn't burn their stuff. Because if they go full throttle it right now, they will go and probably hit the wall with too much speed.
Yeah, that's kind of the last thing you want here. As we know at any race, the only thing really in the Bandit Racing League that takes you out of it is either an internet disconnect or hitting a wall so bad you break the car. Anything other than that, drivers are always in contention for the win, and that's one of the beautiful things here. But the Bandit Racing League, you never know what is going to happen. Benny Hogan here now down pit road, the 11 car, who was in contention there early, obviously a podium finisher last week. He knows what it takes to be clutch in those final moments. But tonight, he might not even get the opportunity. He pitted really early on that first stint, kind of took himself out of the top 10 there. And now he's pitting again, going to go down to 18th. You got to wonder what issues there are tonight for the 11 of Benny Hogan. And whatever it is, I think it's going to require a caution to get him back up there in contention for maybe not even just the win, but even somewhere in the top 5, top 10.
Yeah, as we go and see Cody Welch and Ricky Hart are just only separate by 0.2, and then it drops off a second to Nick Nickerson, and then another 2 seconds to Alec Daffin, who's in 4th right now.
Yeah, the gaps are really, in the grand scheme of things, not all that big, considering we've gone all green all the way through these 59 laps here tonight at Kentucky. As we see Benjamin Lacey getting by the lap car of David Lakey, same with Brett Guzik. So the 7-car Lacey back up into the top 5 here. Alec Daffin currently sitting in 4th. So all playoff drivers in the top 8, except for Cody Welch, your current race leader. But that gap is getting smaller and smaller. That gap's now down to a 10th. Ricky really comfortable with that bottom line. That seems to be his preferred zone of choice. That's his method of attack. And I think, as we've seen with guys comfortable to run that bottom line, didn't feel like it burnt their tires up too much in that first stint. I wonder how much it's really helping Cody to stick to that top line. May want to think about diving low one of these times if that's really the only place the 1-car feels comfortable to attack, but maybe it's not. Maybe as soon as he goes down there, the 1-car will get a better run off the exit of a corner on the high line, and it'll be all for naught. That's what's beautiful. We don't know. And I personally am excited to find out, as again, the 1-car going to try it on the bottom, but the 85-car continuing to hold them off. Now 61 laps in, and just 2 laps time will be halfway tonight in the next chapter outdoors 125.
I think what's more of knowledge with him using the top line in turn 4 is possible because some of the marble and stuff that's kind of gotten up onto the track, maybe that's adding a little bit more grip up top to where you can get into the gas a little bit better than being at the bottom.
Good call from Corey Mitchell there in the broadcast chat there. Yes, hopefully cautions don't breed cautions. We haven't had a caution yet, and usually, as what he's referencing, the old immortal words of Evan Wall, former broadcaster of this series, cautions do tend to breed cautions. Whoa, the 51 car! Speaking of jinxing, I'd knock on my desk, but I don't believe it's made of wood. As the 88 car gets turned a little bit there by the 51 car. He had got by in the previous corner, and suddenly Curtis Yancey, who is involved in this battle for 9th position, ninth for Kevin Foster, 10th currently for Curtis Yancey, sorry, 8th and 9th I should say. Curtis is really trying to fight him back, and he was the one to go to the corner panel here on only lap number 62 to do it. He's always a pretty aggressive guy, and moments like that are why we consider that. But yes, hopefully to Corey's point, hopefully we don't see one, because usually when you see 1 caution in this league, you're about to see 5. And the way this is going tonight, I want this green flag racing to stay, because the Cody Welch fans are loving it. I know the Brett Guzik fans got to be loving his hard-fought attempt to stay here in the top 5. Currently not standing there. He's back up to 6, but he's still in contention. He's by no means out of it. So I hope to see those fans tonight who come for a specific driver. Hopefully those drivers find some success for you, because I always love to see the hometown favorites or the fan favorites come away with good results.
I want to look back a bit and see where Mark Allen ended up, and he's ended up comfortably in 13th. He's not. He's sadly 18 seconds behind the leader, but he's sitting actually close. But I'm wondering if maybe this he's trying to go and push his stuff all the way to where he only needs to do 2 stops, which I don't think will be possible. But what he might do is he might go short at the very last stop. It might be something you might have to watch out for.
Yeah, it could potentially be a strategy, meaning that he saves more tires, saves more rubber, saves more good lap time for the very end of the race, maybe banks on a caution. Could be a good strategy call. We see Michael Ramos, Dawson Guzik coming down pit road. We are side by side in turn 3. Battle for the lead's heating up. I was waiting for that gap to drop below a 10th, and now that it has, it was Cody Welch really properly under attack there that time. Ricky Hart was not going to back off there on entry, not going to, kind of avoid risking himself, avoid risking making a little bit of contact. He was fully comfortable with it that time. Did back out of it there in the end. Cody will keep the spot, but I'm excited. I like to stay, I'm not bipartisan. I like to stay impartial. I like to give everybody an equal chance. I don't want to jinx anybody. Same with Corey Mitchell in the chat. I'm the commentator. I want to be a third-person perspective. I have no stake in this, but I do love seeing these two guys up front. The 85, we know his story. We know how long it's been for him. We know how important he is to the series. I wish he was in the playoffs so we could run for a championship, but he is such an immensely talented driver. And for anybody out there, I hope there's nobody on the broadcast that works like this, but if all you need to know a guy is talented is to see him at the top step of the podium, I promise you, Cody is one of the very best out there, and tonight he's proving it, and so is Ricky Hart Jr., one of the best in Bandit Racing League history, down to the inside. He's a former champion on the best team in the series, just happens to have had kind of a second tier compared to Nick's season, but it's been incredible overall. A win would be massive for him, would put him back in the hunt. So as much as I want everybody to have an equal chance, I would love to see one of these two guys come away with the victory tonight at Kentucky. And I think Nick, if he can hold on to third, can hold in a pretty good position in the points, not give up too much to any of his main rivals. I think some part of me thinks he would be content with that, because this late in the season to continue to rattle off podiums the way Nick has, it's almost unheard of. And I don't think, Sean, I think you can probably agree, I don't think when you're leading the championship by 22 points, you mind giving up one to Ricky Hart Jr., your own teammate.
Yeah, definitely. As we see it start to battle heat up even more, as Ricky's going to try and dive it in again in turn 1 and 2. Welch is going to keep it stick, and Welch is going to go and take off. Again, that high line working still.
There on the bottom is Bill Harkins, series director, founder of the series number 5 car. Slides up in front there on fresh tires, checks the 85 up, who checks up the 1. Kind of a chain reaction domino effect there for a moment. Christopher Hamilton now on pit road. Keep an eye on him. The 15 and the reverse 15, the 51 car, both on pit road this time. So is Nick Nickerson. Here he comes. The first guy in that top 3, the real main contenders for tonight's race win. He's the first of them to come down on the stint. So again, he's going to try that undercut. Didn't quite work last time, and he's going to leave himself in kind of a tough spot late in the race compared to these two gentlemen on tires in that last stint. But how long is Cody going to wait? He only pitted 1 lap later than Nick did on the last stint. Is he going to do that again, or is he going to stay out a couple more laps, hold off? And Ricky, no, I called it. 1 lap after Nick, Cody's going to come down, and that's going to leave Ricky again as the man on track last out of these main contenders for the lead. There is Cody on pit road. There is Alec Daffin, who will now jump into second. And there's Mark Allen Bivens once again running that long pit stop strategy we talked about earlier there, Sean. He's still out there. And it gives me a little bit of hope that this strategy is going to work, because he's still up there in third. Not a bad spot to be in, and a lot of guys starting to go lap down. Once he pits, he should still be somewhere in contention for the win. Or not the win, maybe the top 5.
Yeah, definitely. And at this point, if Mark Allen wants to get in better position, he's going to need more of these top 5 positions like he did at Texas.
So Ricky Hart now on pit road there, 1 lap after Cody, who was 1 lap after Nick. Live on track on the exit road. Here comes Cody Welch. On the outside, there goes Brett Guzik, who was pitted already. Again, he did that early pit stop. He is pretty comfortable making those, those short pits work tonight, trying to do that undercut. He did it again, but I think 3 laps, that's not going to be enough for the gap Cody has to Brett. Cody comes out right in front of Nick, but a full lap difference there. So he's on a lap, fresher tires, and he keeps the track position. The only shot Nick has to get back in front of him is if he dives it in now and doesn't let Cody capitalize on that fresh tire situation. Here comes Ricky Hart Jr. I am amazed how far back he is in the 2 guys in front. Look at the gap now between Ricky Hart Jr. and Nick Nickerson and Cody Welch. They're just coming into turn 3. I think now in this moment, Ricky would be getting there. So really surprising, because that's only 1 lap difference. Cody and Nick, you can see how close they are between one lap. Ricky running that 1 lap further has put him back. Well, checking my telemetry here, that's about a full second, maybe 2 seconds.
Cody Welch and Anderson running close together after both of them have gone out of pit road recently. It's going to go and look inside, but Cody Welch is still going to be using that middle to low line that he's been using throughout the rest of the race. That's going to be working with him this whole entire time.
So just an update, Mark Allen Bivens currently your race leader, as he has been for a couple laps now. The 76 car, the final guy to have not pitted on this current stint. So One more pit stop for everybody on track, save for this man, Mr. Mark Allen Bivens. As we get to lap 76 here at Kentucky, we're getting towards the end. This one feels like it's flying by. We are about to have a 3-horse race for the lead. Guys on very different strategies, very different situations, but all know what it takes to win races in this series. Cody Welch, a 3-time race winner. Brett Guzik, Season 9 champion. Nick Mickerson, Season 8 champion. Ricky Hart, Season 7 champion there, only a couple seconds back. There is some incredible top-tier talent battling it out for the win tonight. I think this win at Kentucky is almost an all-star race of sorts, considering how many guys have won so many races and want to add this one to their collection here tonight at Kentucky. And in a moment, Cody Welch might be back to the front. And for a select and very large group of the audience, that may make them pretty excited. He is by the 85 car. Back to the point here. For every driver, minus Mark Allen Bivens, who, remember, is on an alternative pit strategy, will pit here in just a moment.
As they go past Connor Gibson, who is a lap car, and there goes Greg Guzik, who's going to make it 3 wide and shoot down to the bottom. He's going to go and easily going past Cody Welch, what would be first. As Cody Welch is going to go and stick up onto the top and be able to side draft off him as they are side by side across the line.
Yeah, they are indeed. You saw there from that static camera. Dead even. There we go, the 04 car. Trying it again to hold on the bottom. Remember, he is on 5 laps older tires than Cody Welch is. It's incredible. He's holding his own as well as he has. That sent back underneath last time last lap in turn number 3. That was incredible considering his tire situation to get back in front there for a couple corners. So props to Brett. He is not going down without a fight. Now is going to lose the spot to the 85 and the 2, but still in the podium spots. And with that gap ahead to Ricky Hart Jr., who's about 1.3, 1.4 seconds back, may be able to hold it for quite a bit longer than he did last time. So the chances might not be over for Brett Guzik. He's really going to have to conserve here. And I think he's really going to have to come alive here in this final stint. But things aren't over. It's never over in the Bandit Racing League until it's over. And don't be surprised if we still see that 04 car come away with at least a podium, if not the race win. But again, this battle is now formed from the 85 and the 1 to the 85 and the 2. But now the 85 just tries to set sail. Cody Welch, it's all to play for here. Lap number 80. We're getting close. 45 laps to go. Can the streak end tonight at Kentucky?
I really hope so. But the only way that I can figure out that these guys can easily get past Cody Welch is right as they go and get fresh new tires, and it's right behind Cody Welch there. Either going to have to put the bumper to him or set it in really deep and hope it sticks. Because with Welch using that middle to low line, no one's been able to pass them.
See the lap time comparison. I was just waiting for a little bit more data there, as we're now 80 laps into tonight's race here at Kentucky, and the next chapter outdoors 125. So it was faster lap for Nick, each of the 77 and 78 every other lap here in the last 5. It's been Welch and really every lap in the last 10, as this race has been all Cody since that last pit stop. He's on 1 lap fresher tires. I'm personally getting excited, but I don't want to get too excited because you guys have seen jinxes before. We do it on this channel all the time, but we got a lot of people in the chat that I know are going to be excited. Anybody who's been around the series for a long time knows the significance of this race to the 85 car. So anybody there in the YouTube chat, any of you Cody Welch fans, obviously don't want to jinx it, don't want to get too overexcited, but just talk a little bit about, or just give us some comments. What do you think this would mean from what you know from Cody's perspective? How big would this night be? And are you at all surprised to see this result? Because I don't think I am. This is what I've been expecting for a while, as the 85 now into the 00 Oxy clean entry of Jackson Knock. Benjamin Lacey here right behind Alec Daff, and this is the battle for the final spot in the top 5. Two guys in very similar positions here in the playoff grid. I'll actually pull the points order up here for you guys just so you have a little bit more context. I think these guys might be almost tied, very close. 4 points separate these two gentlemen, that being Benjamin Lacey and Alec Daff, and 4 points. So currently Daffin ahead by 1 position. That would be 1 point, or actually 2 points for that part of the race order. So would be a little bit of help towards getting to that second place position here in the championship points. I think, guys, if they don't win the championship, it is kind of a consolation prize to finish in second. But I mean, you know, Sean, the thing everybody's going for here is that race win. So Benjamin Lacey, that's a pretty key guy he's looking at there. Aside from the championship, you know, a guy that if he's trying to make sure he maximizes his final position in the overall standings, a guy that he would definitely like to get past. Now a battle here side by side, the two GFR teammates on slightly different strategies, but the one car who is on fresher tires, finally those fresher tires even themselves out. He gets the benefit of that fresher rubber and does get by after, to be fair, about 5-10 laps longer than I thought it would take. So Nick was doing a really good job there on that sort of part of the stint he was on with pitting a couple laps earlier, in turn having those laps on the fresher tires under his belt, but then didn't let those older tires seem to harm him all too much. But finally, Ricky is back and is back to that number 2 spot that has been very familiar all season, but he's only 1 second back, and he is catching Cody. Remember, he is on 1 lap fresher tires, so the gap that we saw from Cody to Nick that allowed Cody to pull away, we're about to see from Ricky to Cody. I don't think this is over at all for Ricky Hart Jr., and it's also going to mean that his next pit stop is just that little bit quicker on fuel, and those little intangibles, those little details do tend to matter.
Very much so, as Ricky is going to go and pass Bill Harkins, that he is a lap down, and I'm just wondering the same thing as well. Can he get past him, or is he just going to... To be honest, there's a lot of variables about racing, pit strategy, and then again, it also comes down to, are these guys going to take another set of tires at the end, which I believe so, but are they going to go and take only right sides, or are they going to take a full set of tires?
Well, you're exactly right. That's the strategy question. We're going to be 10 laps away from the finish by the time the final guys on their pit strategies work themselves out. Those guys that pitted in the back half of that sort of lap 75, lap 70 pit window, they're going to be pitting with about 10 to go. And you're exactly right. You don't need fresh tires for all of that 10-lap stint unless you think that increased pace is going to help you in just a short window as 10 laps. So yeah, maybe we'll see guys going for that 2-tire strategy, and that's really what can make or break your race. And it's heartbreaking as a driver to lose a race on something like that. Just a strategy call. As Alec Daffin down to the bottom side, this is for the final spot on the podium. And as more and more guys get past Nick Nickerson, the driver of the number 2 car, it increases the chances for Ricky Hart Jr. in second, and in turn Alec Daffin in third, to gain a little bit of momentum towards cutting down that gap to your championship leader, with only 3 races to go. So again, not much time, but if you want to give yourself a shot there at Richmond and at Phoenix in the season finale, this is a really good chance.
This is really working out for Alec Daffin. He's been in top 5 area for the whole entire race, and with him kind of pushing his stuff, and you were talking about earlier that you were worried about Alec pushing his stuff to it, I think it's now starting to come back and starts to work with him now. I think usually with that type of strategy, it takes a little time for it to then kick in and make a big effect, like we're seeing now.
Got a battle kind of forming here for, this is for 5th position, as we do see Daffin start to pull away a little bit from Nick. That gap already up to about half a second, so definitely more pace going to go the way of the 48 car. We are 3 wide here on the front stretch between the lap car, blinking a little bit of Jackson Knock. That's going to harm Benjamin Lacey, but Brett Guzik there in the L4 car, and Benjamin Lacey, the hard-charging number 7. And actually in this scenario, no, I was going to say Benjamin has pitted prior to Brett Guzik. That is not true. He has pitted more recently. He is on fresher tires. Should have that same momentum the previous guys did to put Brett outside the top 5. But again, you know that 04 car is going to fight. And those lap cars of Bill Harkins in the 5 and Jackson Knock in the 00 are going to make it interesting.
Cody Woods is now starting to pull away even more as I'm looking at Alec Daffin is starting to catch up to Ricky Hart now.
You're right. Looking at that lap time comparison, these last couple laps, 4 of the last 5, he's been quicker, including by almost 2/10 there on lap number 89 and 90. Lap 92 here, 33 away from the finish. He's weaving his way through some lap traffic here. That's Dawson Guzik, tonight's race sponsor, on his outside. And up the road a little bit, that is David Blakey. If my eyes don't deceive me, it is the 84 car. We'll see this time the lap time comparison. Actually, Ricky Hart was faster that time by almost 1/10 of a second. So again, very small margins, but the fact that momentum is switching, does that worry you at all, you think, if you're Cody Welch, or do you feel like this is just a little bit of fluke pace from a guy who has been just a tad bit slower than Cody on this current cycle?
I would be a little worried as he's trying to go and battle for lap cars right now, because if you keep stacked up with lap cars, that's just going to go and keep that ticker going down even more, as he's now going to go and pass David Lakey now.
Yeah, so he's really by that cloud of guys that were holding him up there for that moment. And remember, now Ricky's going to have to get by him. But the thing about it is, just because they held Cody up, and not by a huge margin, though it has taken that gap down to 1 second. It was a little bit bigger than that a couple laps ago. You could have a case where if Ricky just flies by these guys in 2 straightaways, doesn't get held up in the corners, that could save him as much as half a second. And we saw this happen, I think, a few weeks ago with Brett Guzik. Remember, he got held up by a couple bits of lap traffic that lost him a whole bunch of ground. Lost him in the clutches of another driver, and then I believe we got a caution, and I believe that other driver was Nick, who went on to win the race. So I don't remember what race I am, taking us back to here, but definitely we've seen in the past that these late race, green flag stints where you're running through a lot of lap traffic, they can cost races. Here's a phase that is going to make things interesting. Alec Daffin, 2-time race winner this season. He won 2 weeks ago, not last week's race at Martinsville, the week before. He won a couple weeks ago at Texas, and now he is going to make things really interesting. He has pitted 1 lap more recently than Ricky, 2 laps more recently than Cody Welch. He's got the best tires of anybody in the top 3, and that gap to Ricky is down to about 3/10, down to about a second and a half to Cody Welch. He could be in play for the win here, for all we know. Now 30 laps left to the finish. Don't count the 48 car. The Shaw Racing entry of Alec Daffin out of this, and as a top 4 guy in the playoffs, he could use this win and 3-spot advantage to Nick Nickerson more than anybody. This could be huge for him.
It's very, very good, as we are now getting a fuel window right now. Now, any of these drivers could go pit now, and they would safely be able to go and make it to the end. But the thing is that when are these guys going to pit? Because someone's going to have to undercut, and that's going to hopefully be Alec Daffin if he wants to go and win this race and be able to get that points cut closer. As we see Ricky and Cody Welch and Dawson Guzik go down. Oh, whoa. Ricky actually faked out.
Cody did pit. We saw a couple fakes there. Cody, though, got loose coming down pit road, trying to maximize his time. You saw the back tire spinning. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. The only question is potential penalty. Did he just take a pit road speeding penalty, trying to get himself loaded up? We're going to watch up here because I think we may see a pass for the lead momentarily, as the 48 car might go in the attack. Here's the 2 cars perspective. Nick Nickerson's back in the fight. Where did he come from? Brett Guzik's only a second back down the road. This is not over, folks, as we go 3 wide between the lap car of David Lakey there down the middle. The 2 car is back in the equation, but his teammate in the 1 trying to defend from Alec Daffin. The 48's down to the bottom. Remember, fresher tires. Could he get to the lead for the first time in this race? And the first time in 2 weeks. Could get his 3rd win of the season. Could become only the 3rd driver after Nickerson and Lacey to do so. He's got him. He's going to be clear, I would say, off of turn number 3 unless he pits this time, which I thought he might. Lost a little bit of traction mid-corner. No, he is going to pit there. Here he goes. The guy we're keeping an eye on here is Cody Welch, who has now pitted. So that gap between him and your race leaders is about 40 seconds. That seems high to me. I don't remember what a pit cycle looks like here at Kentucky. I'm just worrying about that pit road speeding penalty. If it's a potential issue, we will wait. We will see. If he has to come down this time, it will be a penalty. If he doesn't, he's good to the finish. He does not pit. We should be okay. So the 85 car, this is the moment for him, as Nick Nickerson down pit road. So that's one of the final dominoes that has to drop. Now we're just waiting on Daffin and Hart to pick the right moment. But you can see guys here pitting about lap 100. You're probably thinking they could have gone to 115. Why are they pitting now? It's to try to split the stint in half. If you have a 40 lap run to the finish from that time they last pitted, why would you go on very, very old tires by the end of 35 laps when you can just cut it in half, do 20 on new tires, and then do 20 on an even newer set of tires? So that's the plan. He's on pit road now. Brett Guzik on pit road. Christopher Hamilton for GFR Racing, who's kind of been in and out throughout the top 5, top 10 range all race. He's now pitting. But this battle is back. Ricky Hart Jr. is still your race leader here. Alec Daffin has yet to find a way by, as that's Jason Greenwell, playoff driver there in the 83 car, who is holding a gap between the two. He's going to fly right by there on the outside on a fresh set of tires. Cody has cycled out ahead of Nick by a good margin. He is 8 seconds clear of the number 2 car. I think Nick must have had some trouble on pit road because that gap was nowhere near that big, and Cody is only on 3-lap newer tires. That shouldn't be equal to about 8 seconds. That's big. Here's Ricky Hart, though, final driver down pit road in that kind of trio we've been talking about all race between Hart, Nickerson, and Welch. So now it's Alec Daffin, the final guy out there, has to run some great lap times because this is the key moment where if he can't keep up the pace there up front, he's going to get swallowed up, and I just don't see him being able to pass 3 cars, Sean. I don't know about you, but Cody, Ricky, and Nick, I don't think one guy is getting by all 3 of those gentlemen.
Well, the thing is that if Alec is going to go and take only right sides, this might actually help him because he's ahead of Cody right now. As we see, Cody's about to go and make that gap closer so he can get his lap back. If Alec actually goes and takes only right sides, he will actually probably end up in front of Cody Welch as he goes and heads into pit road.
Yeah, it was kind of a fun moment there as we saw Alec Daffin and Cody Welch in almost the same spot on track. So as far as track position, Cody has come out well. He didn't get a penalty, we can now confirm, and it was a pretty good run there for him on that pit in pit out cycle. So he's definitely still got a shot, folks, but this is the guy we got to watch here. Alec Daffin on pit road. Benjamin Lacey has jumped Nick Nickerson as well. He has now come out there in the 4th spot, we'll note, right ahead of Nick. So he would now jump in provisionally the 3rd spot, provided Alec Daffin comes out ahead of him, which he may not. That'll put Nick provisionally in 4th, Brett Guzik in 5th. He's ahead of Ricky Hart Jr., and they pitted on almost the same lap. Ricky on only 1 lap fresher tires. So Ricky Hart, who seemed like a shoe-in for, if not the win, at minimum the podium, might not even get that podium. Alec Daffin now out of pit road. What's the gap? He is 10 seconds back of race leader Cody Welch on 7-lap fresher tires. The sprint begins. He's got some really good race cars to get past, and we have 20 laps to go. Mark Allen Bibbins out front, pitted on lap 77. He will have to pit before the end. So now, folks, it becomes a chase. It's the proverbial chase like the scene in Indiana Jones where he runs away from the boulder. Well, Indiana Jones currently is going to be Cody Welch, the 85 car, for 20 more laps. The boulder is 5 or 6 of the best drivers the Bandit Racing League has to offer, trying to chase him down. Sean, could you write a better story than this?
I don't think you can, but here's one thing. I don't want to jinx it in because we almost had a couple of times where it happened. Cody Welch doesn't want to caution.
No.
If this thing goes all the way through, he is going to... It is either going to be a close call where someone's going to be close to him, or he is just going to be by himself and win this.
Yeah, that is the thing. I'll put a caveat on that. I don't think if he wins this, it's going to be by much. Because remember, Nick is on 3-lap fresher tires there. He's battling with Benjamin. This battle is going to be crucial because the more Benjamin Lacey holds him up, the more that is going to cost Nick some time. And right now, I think both these guys, if they want the race win, which maybe Nick doesn't, maybe he's content being ahead of all the other playoff contenders, aside from Mark Allen, who again does have to pit. Maybe he's okay with where he's currently sitting. And if he is, maybe he's content to just kind of take a step back. But he has been faster these last couple laps. I'll show you the lap time comparison here, even despite Nick's current little tussle with Benjamin Lacey, his longtime championship rival this season. Remember, the only other guy besides Nick to have 4 wins this season in the Bandit Racing League. Yeah, so that gap has been coming down. It was 4 tenths, almost 5 tenths, 4 tenths that last time, 4.5 again. The pace he's catching him, you do half a second, let's say, multiplied by 17, you get 8.5 seconds. That's way less than that's way bigger than the gap that he has to make up. That's only 4.5 seconds. The numbers are suggesting right now, Sean, that Cody's going to get caught. He's about to pass Mark Allen Bibbins for the legitimate race lead, despite having taken a pit stop. But that gap is really dropping, and it's worrying me. And I think if you're a fan of Cody, the last guy you want to see to beat the 85 car tonight is the number 2.
And definitely so, but we've seen Cody Welch be in that tough situation earlier throughout this race. He can hold off the best guys using that low to middle line. If he just stays there throughout the whole entire race, I'm telling you, no one's going to be able to pass him. He has shown it with almost every single driver who's been really competitive. We've seen it with Ricky Hart. We've seen it with we've seen it with Brett Guzik and Nick Nickerson.
We're going to jump back to here to what could be a very important battle, not for the race win necessarily, but for the podium spots. This is a battle between Brett Guzik in 5th, Ricky Hart Jr. in 6th, Alec Daffin in 7th. Daffin on fresher tires than anybody, 3-lap fresher than Ricky, 5-lap fresher than Guzik there for 5th. So Alec Daffin, provided he doesn't get held up here too long, should get 5th. Then it's a question of how much more progress can he make, because it's 2.5 seconds up the road to Benjamin Lacey for 4th. I'm kind of surprised here, Sean. I think we must have had a slow pit in, pit out lap here for the 48 car of Daffin, unless those tires are really about to kick in, because he's kind of come out of play here, even though we did the overcut. He's kind of come out of play here for the win, and the longer he gets held up behind Brett Guzik, even smaller chance he can still go track down Cody and Nick for the win.
Yeah, and I went and actually watched Alec Daffin while he pitted. He did take 4 tires. I was surprised that he didn't take 2, because I thought he might would have gotten out in front. But maybe tire work for 20 to 25 laps wouldn't last long if you only get right side. As we see, he's going to battle with Brett Guzik on the inside, and he's going to be able to go easily and get in front.
Yeah, really close quarters there. As we suggested, we thought that was going to be a pretty easy pass for Alec Daffin. He's on fresher tires for a reason. Should be getting about 3 or 4 tenths a lap, an advantage on these guys. I'm looking at the conversation in the chat here, really interesting. I think that's absolutely true there from Scott, that, yeah, Cody's been great tonight at conservation. Maybe the way we're talking about this is just a flat advantage of, the fresher tires. That's such a massive, deficit to overcome. Maybe he can do it better than Nick has. He's got that gap down to about 2.3. We'll show the lap time comparison again from your race leader, Cody Welch, to Nick Nickerson. It's still dropping, but as you can see, that was about 4 tenths a couple laps ago. Sean, it's down to 2 tenths and a tenth and a half these last 2 laps. That would then become not enough to catch up to Cody. It would get him within about a second, but he's got to start making better lap times than that. That was 2.5 tenths that time by. It's going to be so close. In this moment, Sean, Cody Welch, Nick Nickerson, or the 3rd place Benjamin Lacey, or the 4th place Alec Daffin on fresh tires, who would your pick for the win be if you had to put money on it?
I don't think I could pick one. I mean, my gut is saying that Cody Welch could easily go and get this done if it stays green. But if we have a caution, it would be a hard choice, because then everyone's going to be bunched up, and I think some people might go and pit, and then that's going to become a whole can of worms of who's going to be able to be back at the line as Cody Welch goes and gets into the wall out of turn 2.
Sorry, I was looking at a different graphic. What was that, Sean?
Cody Welch got into turn 2 out of the exit. That's going to slow him up a bunch, as Nick is going to go and catch up to him now.
That'll have to be a replay. Yes, just a moment ago, off of turn number 2, in the wall goes the 85 car of Cody Welch. The last thing he needed in the biggest moment. All the pressure on his shoulders. That was the last thing he needed. Now, with 10 laps to go, can he limp that car? 9 to go, 8 to go next time by the line. The gap's down to 7 tenths, and Alec Daffin has just got by Benjamin Lacey. This continues to get more interesting, as that 48 car on fresher tires than anybody is going to put Nick under attack. And Cody up front has 8 more laps to try to take a car that is on 6 lap older tires than Alec Daffin to take it to the win. This is going to be an incredible finish, and Alec Daffin might come away looking great here. Flies underneath the 2 car. Cody's going to have to put up an absolute brick wall here with 8 laps to go.
I don't think Cody Welch is going to be able to put much of a fight, as he's going to go and block on the inside line. I think that damage might have gotten him, as Alec's going to go and peek under more, and he's going to probably end up being side by side. But I think with the momentum that he's got, he's probably going to beat him, as he does.
He's got him. New race leader, 48 car, Alec Daffin, to the point here with 7 laps to go. Still Cody in second there, ahead of Nick Nickerson, ahead of Benjamin Lacey. Ricky Hart Jr. back in contention. Remember, he's on pretty good tires compared to the rest of the field. Don't give up on him, and Brett Guzik right there in the picture as well. Kevin Foster, really quiet night for him. Do want to talk to him about him before we get to the final stanza here. Driver of the number 8 car. Really good night for him. Started 11th, up to 7th. Been a really impressive drive so far from the GFR Racing driver. But this is where things get serious. Second place is the battle we want to watch. Is Nick Nickerson underneath through the tri-oval. Has got such a good run on pressure tires and without damage off of turn number 3. He's up into second now. heartbreak for Cody Welch. You can see everybody in the chat is that's I don't even know what to say, Sean. That's just heartbreaking as we see Ricky Hart Jr. underneath Benjamin Lacey. We're 3 wide and 3 and 4. That's Ricky Hart Jr. in the 1 car. Again, fresher tires than anybody, trying to work his way back into the podium.
If this goes green all the way through, I think Alec Daffin's going to win now after that heartbreak happened. He is trying to pull away from Nick now, as he is now over a second from him.
Yeah, next time by, going to be 4 laps to go for the Pullman Washington native. And as much as we've talked about guys like Nickerson, like Welch, like Hart, he's been there the entire time. Daffin's been in the top 5. He's been competitive. He started all the way back in 10th without a yellow flag. Worked his way all the way up to the front here, and now leads by a second and a half, a pretty substantial margin compared to what we've seen tonight in what has been one of the most competitive races in a very long time. Now Benjamin Lacey down to the bottom side on Ricky Hart Jr. He's going to try to put up a as spirited of a defense as he possibly can, but again, as we're seeing at this point late in the race, fresher tires is kind of the name of the game, though he is holding them honest. He's holding them to currently still only the 4th spot, but I think this time it's going to be Ricky's spot. Yeah, all the way around the outside, got the better traction. Now it's up to Brett Guzik if he can get the 4th spot, but 3 laps to go. Can anybody catch Daffin, or is the 48 car but to scoot away and steal what looked to be for the longest time the 85 car's win?
Well, I did go and say the strategy that Alec was trying to set up would be risky and would take a long time for it to kick in. As we see, it has now full-blown kicked in and pedal to the metal. He is just going.
Yeah, he really is. He's put it in another gear. Last time I ran a 32.6. Nick ran a 32.9. It's not close. He is going to win this race in a pretty dominant manner here in these last couple laps. Getting ready here for the white flag next time by. But I am so impressed with what I've seen from, honestly, like Cody Welch, but everybody here in the top 5. It's been an incredible night of racing as we get ready to go. 1 lap to go here. Presented by Apex Sim Racing. The Apex Sim Racing white flag is going to go to Alec Daffin. He's 2.5 seconds clear of second. This is the battle for second. Ricky Hart Jr. underneath Nick, his teammate, into turn number 1. Here comes Benjamin Lacey. How many guys can get ahead of Nick, the points leader? How big can that gap get for Alec Daffin? He wants to see more cars passing your series championship leader right now. Guzik and Lacey might fight for the 4th spot. Guzik will get the spot on Lacey. Can they get Nick? I'm not sure. But to the line, make that 3 on the season. A race that seemed destined to go somewhere else is gonna go to Alec Daffin. The 48 car comes in clutch, runs the strategy to perfection, and he is your winner at Kentucky. His 2nd intermediate race win and the last 2 intermediate race tracks. Congratulations to Alec Daffin.
We know that in NASCAR, Kevin Harvick is known as the closer, as his nickname. Do you think it's rightfully good to go and give it to Alec Daffin? Because if he keeps this up of getting wins and getting top 5s, he might be able to close in on Nick and possibly be a championship favorite.
Yeah, I was calling at the beginning of the season. I had Benjamin Lacey pegged as the closer, the guy that in those clutch moments late in the race just kicked it into another gear and did what he had to do to execute. But man, talk about end of the season, going for the championship when you really need to get dialed in. Alec Daffin has been up there with the very best. He just does not seem to make mistakes when it comes down to the race wins. So that's another one for him. Congratulations there to Alec Daffin. Let's get his graphic ready because he's our race winner for the 2nd time in 3 weeks. 2 weeks. He won at Texas 2 weeks ago. Let's get his graphic set up here because he is your race winner. I don't know what's happening here at the moment. We are having a bit of a discrepancy where the field hasn't seemed to freeze. It's showing Ricky Hart on my telemetry as the race winner, which should not be right. Let's just wait here to make sure that Alex doing his victory donuts, because Ricky is parked, but he does show up as the race winner for whatever reason. Okay, we're gonna go to Alec Daffin. We'll throw up his graphic here. We'll get him in the broadcast booth. I think it's just a mistake on iRacing side, so we're going to Good to get to your race interview. I think this is just a classic little snafu of the lovely world of sim racing. Just getting this graphic up here. And there we go. We are all set for your first interview tonight with your race winner here at Kentucky in the next chapter, Outdoors 125. Here's the man himself, Mr. Alec Daffin. Let's pull him in and get started on your first interview. Hey, Alex, Marshall, and Sean up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
What's up?
Alec, congratulations, my man. That was... We were just calling you the maybe the next Kevin Harvick at the Bandit Racing League. As far as closing goes, picking up momentum there at the end and just locking it down. You were dialed in there on that last stint. You pitted later on that last pit stop to get ready and then took off in the final stint. Could those final 20 laps have gone any better for the 48 car?
Oh, for sure. I should have pitted a lap earlier so I was in front of Lacey and Guzik, didn't have to pass them, but I was able to get around them, and then I just started running down Cody and Nick. And Cody was like 8 seconds ahead of me when I came out of the pits. So I didn't think I had a chance. And then all of a sudden, I was only like 4.5 behind, like 2.4. And I was like, okay, we're going to be on for a win here. And at that point, I had to try not to choke it away. And thankfully, I did what I had to do and brought the win home.
Well, you know, again, we talk about it as far as the biggest moments, not just the end of a race here at Kentucky, a race that was so competitive between 5 or 6 really good playoff guys, but you all night seemed to have yourself a tier above. You were so fast when it came down to it at the end of those stints, and tonight was a massive race for your championship. We only got 2 races left in Season 10 after this. We just announced this week that new ring is coming out. That's going to be the prize for this season. Were you any hungrier this year? Did you figure something out? Is Kentucky a good track? Just why did the 48 car look like the guy to watch, the guy to look out for more than anybody for the championship in these last 2 weeks today?
Well, all about tonight, like I wasn't good on short run speed, qualifying showed, but I was able to play good strategy and be good on the long run. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really. I mean, to be honest, I think my best track was Martinsville so far in the playoffs. But I mean, I don't know. I just been doing my thing. I mean, haven't had any phenomenal races, but I mean, I've been doing good enough. I've been there in the end every race, and I've been trying to be patient, not making mistakes, and it's definitely came to me. I mean, 2 wins and 4 races, so it's definitely came to me.
I'm in awe. That was such an incredible performance there late, and 2 weeks to go now. It's only Richmond and it's only Phoenix. We've talked a lot about Phoenix being at a good Nick Nickerson track. He's still the championship leader. You should have gotten that gap down a little bit there because just to make sure the final results stay the same, it is Nick in third. So you break away by 2 positions. You're going to get some points there. Going to close that gap. But Richmond and then Phoenix for the finale. Phoenix is a good Nick track from everything we've said. He's the hometown boy there. So do you think Richmond is a good opportunity to make some points, or do you think you can really swing things at Phoenix to come out of nowhere and become the Bandit Racing League Series 10 champion?
Well, I've always been good at Richmond, but ever since Dirty Airsman thing, I've kind of struggled there. But I think both those tracks I can finish top 5. I mean, at the same time, I thought Snow be at top 5 and we got the win. So I think anywhere I could be a contender for the win. But I mean, right here, Nick's pretty good at Phoenix, so might be racing for second place there. But we'll see. Just gotta keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, I think Nick's too far ahead to really contend for the championship with him unless he wrecks or whatever, which I don't wish it on him. But I definitely think we can get second points though, and if something happens to Nick, I mean, we'll be on for a championship possibly, but we'll see.
I gotta be honest, I do not like that answer. I don't want to hear going for second at this point because you have taken the position of, well, this year we started with about 60 drivers in the Bandit Racing League fighting to get spots each and every race when we started the season, and every driver's goal there was to go for the championship, and now second to everybody except, or only Nick can claim he has more points. You are representing the entire Bandit Racing League as the guy trying to track that guy down, and you are as close as anybody's been all year since the playoff reset. So I want to see that hunger. I want to see you really pushing these last 2 weeks, and Phoenix, you got 2 weeks to prep for it. It's not like we've never seen some chaos befall the 2 car. And Richmond next week, if you're feeling good for it, I say go for it. You, on behalf of everybody in the Bandit Racing League, Alec, you represent the shot to make another different championship winner here in Season 10. Not let Nick repeat like his teammate there, Kevin Foster. So I'm going to give it to you here to cap things off, but I want to hear some victory, shout outs, some sentiments, some final thoughts, and I just want to hear a man who is ready to go in there and give him heck in the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, thank you. We're definitely going to give it a shot. It's a tall task, but we're definitely going to give it a shot, though. So first off, I'd like to thank Kevin Foster for doing donuts around me constantly while I'm standing there. Well, doing laps or whatever. But anyway, I'd like to thank Shaw Racing Products for supporting me. Cameron Pierce, my team owner. Thank you. And Sean for doing the broadcast. Bill for playing on the league. And everybody for racing me clean out there. Oh, and also my Twitch viewers at Forlex Bowman. That's 4LEXBOWM8N. And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alec. Congratulations again, my man, on a drive that really blew me and Sean away. We're the same as you. When that gap was 8 seconds towards the very end, we thought this thing is about cut and dry. It's over, but you found a way to prove us wrong. Became the 3rd driver of the season to get to 3 wins. That is no small feat. You tie Cody Welch in Bandit Racing League Series history, and that's definitely one thing. And incredible drive, my man. Congratulations. Enjoy it. Get set for Richmond, and like I said, give him heck in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll take it for sure. Thank you. Have a good one.
There we go. Congratulations again to Alec Daffin, race winner here at Kentucky. That was truly a drive that, when you consider the amount of talent, the top tier drivers he was driving around there, the former champions everywhere, to just go out there and kick it into another gear at the end, not make it particularly close at the finish line. That is what that's what we expect from a guy going for the Bandit Racing League Championship. But definitely is good to see from a guy like Alec Daffin, a first-year rookie. Don't forget, in crazy fashion. I don't know when the last time we saw a Bandit Racing League rookie win the championship was. I'll have to track that down before the next couple weeks just in case it happens. But now we are on your second interview of the night here with Ricky Hart Jr., your playoff contender, who's going to beat his teammate, going to take a couple points away in his effort to win the Season 10 championship. And up top, you see the final results in tonight's race at Kentucky, and it'll be scrolling up top just to confirm your final podium is Alec Daffin in first, just to clarify, not in second, unless he has been assigned a penalty, which is not the case to my knowledge. So it is going to be Daffin, then Ricky Hart, then Nick Nickerson, just to clarify, and then the rest of the order is as follows. So, to the interview, let's bring in driver of the number 1, Mr. Ricky Hart Jr. Hey, Ricky, it is Marshall and Sean up at the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Got you guys. How you doing?
We are doing pretty well, Ricky. That was a spirited fight from start to finish from you, your teammate, all the former champions up there, and Alec as well, and Cody Welch. That was such a fun race to watch from start to finish. In the end, came just short, but I think the strategy was there for you. I think everything worked out well. So just want to talk about what you think worked really well tonight, and what was it that cost you that little bit of pace to Alec at the very end?
I don't know. Just had speed this week. Went to practice yesterday. Didn't feel like we were gonna be that quick, but we figured out some things in this practice session just before the race. And just took it easy and, started gaining on them there at the beginning. And I was like, okay, I got some speed. I'll be able to get up there. Everything was kind of working for me. Just had a couple bad pit stops there at the end. That last one, I rolled a little too forward in the pit box, had to back up. Just a couple little mistakes, but Alec was quick there at the end, so I would have needed a lot to get up there and get that. I would have had to been perfect, and just didn't have it tonight. Just didn't get there.
Well, one of the interesting parts of tonight's race, which made it so fascinating, was that all of the very different drivers who we know have race-winning pace in the Bandit Racing League had different strategies lap over lap. They weren't pitting the same lap as the guy in front of them. At the beginning, it was Nick, I think, was the first guy down pit road there in that first stint. Nobody necessarily followed him in. They were trying to overcut. Some guys were trying to undercut. What was your confidence there with sticking to your guns on strategy? Did you have a specific plan coming in, like, I'm going to pit on exactly this lap every stint? Or did your sort of strategy change as other guys did, and do you regret the decisions you made there?
Well, at first, when we were going into it, it was like, we're going to be pitting lap 33 to 35. And when I got behind Cody and I couldn't pass him, I was thinking about undercutting and pitting a little early. But then I was like, I don't want to give up too much in the later run. Then when everybody else started pitting, I was like, okay, I want to lead a lap, get that bonus point, and hopefully I can come out and run them down. And I did that, got back out, and I got up to Cody, and just trying to pass Cody tonight was insane. I feel so bad for him, man. I think he got into the wall late in the run, and didn't come through with the win. But I mean, that was his run to win. But once I got on that later strategy, and I saw how it was working that second stint, I was like, okay, I just got to keep doing this. Nick just blew up.
He often does.
But after that second stint, and I saw I was able to catch back up to the guys fairly fast, and I still had speed to be able to get past them. I was like, okay, this has to be the race-winning strategy. And then during the last pit stop, racing with Alec really slowed us down. And then I went in, messed up, came back out. I was right next to Alec, and I was cussing at myself as I was coming out. I was like, no, this guy's got so much speed right now. Like, I'm done. I'm not going to make it. But we had a little battle. I tried to, beat him up a little bit. Ran into Brett there, and he eventually got past both of us, and then just took off. I made his face. That dude was fired tonight.
Yeah, there was some incredibly hard fighting guys. I think we saw the very best that a bunch of guys in this series have to offer tonight. You guys were giving it your all, and that was very apparent tonight. Again, you rack up some good points there. You take a couple spots on, one spot, but you take a couple points on Nick, make that gap a little bit smaller. You got 2 races to go. I think everybody in the playoffs is kind of banking on some shortfalls to befall Nick here in these last 2 weeks. But what's the kind of morale for the 1 car right now? How are you feeling at this point in the season? You're still in contention there. Anything can happen. You're close there with those guys in the kind of 2 to 6 range in the playoffs. You got Richmond, and then you got Phoenix for the finale. What's the morale? You feeling good? You feeling in a good place, or is there any sort of disappointment at this late part of the year?
A little disappointment. I started off the playoffs. I felt real good. I think I had like 2 or 3 top 3 finishes. Then a couple of hiccups at Darlington. I felt like Darlington was my race. Little hiccup there with Cody. Then we went into Martinsville. I started feeling good about that because you had hyped me up, and I was like, all right, I think I can get out there and do it. And it just got run over there right at the end. A little disappointed, but today, kind of showed what I can do. I just have to string it all together. I think I can get a win. Right here, I'm not even really focused on the championship. At this point, I really just want to finish it off with a bang, come out, get a win, maybe the next 2 wins. And then I feel really good, going into next season, I guess. But hey, anything's possible. And Nick's my teammate, but sorry, I'm hoping he wrecks out on lap 1 next week and the week after.
Yeah, no offense to Nick, never any offense to Nick, but no, aren't we all hoping that's the way that next week goes? Because we want to see this fight to the finish go pretty entertainingly, and I think we can both agree Nick would deserve it if he won the title. But man, would it be fun to see it go somewhere else? So, Ricky, man, it is a pleasure. It was such an amazing drive from you tonight. That was genuinely, I can't undersell how second here feels like it should have been first at about 10 other races. This was such a good fight between you really talented guys, but. You know the deal. What we do here on the broadcast booth. Got any shout-outs you want to give friends and family, anybody at home, and any sponsors you got in the car?
And everybody watching at home, you guys up in the booth, you do a great job. You got a lot to focus on up there, especially with these runs going green flag the entire time. We had 1 caution tonight.
No,
man.
No, we did not.
So thank you guys, everybody in the league that's putting up a good fight. There's a lot of good, clean racing out there. I had a lot of fun around Alec. I had a lot of fun trying to get around Cody. Nick, I hope you fail.
That's what you like to hear.
Finally, sponsors: Big Red Propane, TechNet Professional, Advanced Auto, Neighbors Pool Service, VIP Glass, Perfect Shine Auto Spa, Sueno de Azzo. I'll never get that right. I'm sorry. And of course, Robert Bowman. Plastic Collision, our guys out there, sponsoring us. I can't thank everybody enough.
Awesome. Well, Ricky, it's heartbreaking the way that it ended tonight for you and so many other guys, but I want you to keep your head held high because, again, that was a great drive. That was a ton of fun. We absolutely loved it up here in the broadcast booth. I know the fans at home did as well. So you made a lot of people very proud, and you definitely impressed some guys. And if that 1 car comes away with the win, if Nick, as you say, crashes on lap 1 and comes away with the victory, I would not be at all surprised to see the 1 car as a repeat champion. So best of luck, Ricky. Keep the head up, and I like the haircut, by the way, too. It's a good look. So
thank you.
Everything's going well there.
It's been hot out here on the East Coast. I had to bring it down a little bit.
Sounds good. Well, I can attest to that. Toronto's it's pretty close, but it's been hot up here, so I had to go the haircut right as well. But enjoy the haircut, enjoy the week. Congratulations, my man, and hopefully we'll talk to you before the end of the year.
Thank you, guys. See you in Victory Lane next week.
That's what we like to hear. Awesome. Well, with that, we now get ready to talk to his teammate there at GFR Racing, driver of the number 2, a guy we talked to pretty consistently. You've probably seen this man before. Some damage there on the front hood of that car. I think he sustained that at the end of the race after the checkered flag had flown. But now to your final interview of the night here at Kentucky, a guy we've talked to plenty of times. It's the 2-car Nick Mickerson, your championship leader. Hey, Nick, it's Marshall and Sean up in the broadcast booth. You get a copy?
Let's go, man.
It's going pretty good. It was a fun night. It was a really good race. Some really top drivers there duking it out at the very end. I'm sure you are very well aware. You had every playoff contender you can imagine swirling around you all race. But in the end, 3rd place. Not too bad. You cap it off. It looks like the 2-car there was in the conversation for maybe top 3 on track at all times, but there were definitely some guys later in the race that kind of found the advantage. Do you think there was maybe a shortcoming on strategy, or did some guys just really kick it into an extra gear tonight?
This track, I already predicted this, that it would drive a lot like Texas. It's almost identical to Texas. It's just like the corners are reversed, and I just couldn't get like the run off of 3 and 4 while saving the tires as good as some of these other guys. I actually figured out like halfway through the last stint of how to drive that corner. Like, oh, it's a little too late at that point. That's what you get for not running the practice races on Tuesday night. Yeah, it was just at the same time, I was just trying not to get caught up in any wrecks. I was very lenient with letting people by. I just, especially with Alec. Congratulations to him, by the way, for getting that win. He was pretty damn fast, but I wasn't gonna sit there and try to block him for Ricky, and potentially wreck out, the last stint. So I was just letting people by, and as long as I was in front of the guys that matter the most, which is Brett and Benjamin, and I was happy.
And you worry, you only give up one spot to your teammate and a couple spots to Alec, but that gap still comfortable, still about where it was, and we're getting to the point in the season where I think guys are. We've talked about it before. They're just waiting. They're waiting for that big mistake. They're waiting for the race. You go out there, lap 1, as Ricky just said. Lap 1, Nick crashes, and suddenly things get exciting. We haven't had that yet, and I think that is. Going to come as a surprise to many, but for those that know how consistent you really have been, it may not be. So going into Richmond and your home track at Phoenix, is any part of you getting the temptation to start running lenient, to start let the race go by you and just do your thing, or does anything change? Because clearly you're 7 or 8 wins in at this point. Maybe there's an aspiration to go for 10. What's your approach?
Yeah, only if I have to. I'm still going to go out there and try to win the races, and, get pole and see if I can, run away with it like I have a couple times this year. But if somebody is just playing faster than me, I'm not going to sit there and race and potentially wreck. So, it's just that'd be stupid. Even if it's Brett or Benjamin. If they're clearly faster than me, or if they're putting us a lot of heat on, I'm just going to let them go. It's, sacrifice a couple points. There's only 2 races left, and one of them's a short track, and one of them's technically a short track, but not really. So. A lot of things can still happen at Richmond, and yeah, man, we'll just have to see what happens. I got quite a comfortable lead, so if Benjamin was behind me, Bro's a couple of positions behind me, I also got the pull, so that's an extra 3. I don't know. I think I grew my lead by like 3 or 4 points. So I'm happy with that, man. If I can get out of Richmond with gaining points, if keeping the points the same, I think that pretty much wraps up the championship for me, which makes going into Phoenix a hell of a lot nicer. But see, Richmond's a hell of a track, man. A lot of things go happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm expecting chaos, and if I get anything less, I'm going to be kind of disappointed. But I know you're not. I know you're hoping for the most vanilla. Nick wins, leads 95% of the laps race possible, and I don't blame you at all, because I would be if I were you too. But just finally, before we get to your usual shout-outs, it was announced this week the victory prize for the Bandit Racing League Championship has changed, and as the guy who's currently leading the points, might as well ask you about it. So no longer will it be taking over sole possession of the league. We'll get to that in just a moment on the broadcast. But new prize, got that sweet-looking ring there for the champion. Are you a ring guy? Where would that fit in your list of all-time, prizes and trophies and victory totems you've received? Because you've got a lot of stickers, I'm sure, from Bill over the years. But how would a ring fit on that trophy case of yours?
Oh man, that would be, I'm not really a jewelry person. I'm not necessarily an electrician, but deal with electricity a lot, so I don't wear like rings or anything. But I would definitely display that right next to my race somewhere. I mean, I'll make like a nice little wooden plaque with a little fake pig or something, put it on there. It'll look cool. Definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be really cool. Yeah, man. But I'm not gonna say that it's mine just yet, because we still got 2 hectic races to go and a lot of points on the table.
Nick, we're trying to jinx you, man. We're trying to jinx you by talking about this stuff. You're not going to let us do it. What are the hopes, man? Come on.
If I can just get this one more championship, that way I'll tie for championships for anybody that's ever been Bandit. And next year, maybe we'll do some more crazy stuff.
If I can just get this one more championship, that's all you need to hear to know what kind of season it's been for Nick Nickerson. Yeah, the GFR guys having 5 combined championships would be it's got a nice ring to it there. So see if you can cap that off. But hey, maybe Ricky will do it, and I'm sure that's not the way you're hoping that happens. So.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, you know the deal. You know, friends and family at home. Anybody you want to shout out, or any sponsors on the car you want to talk about? Now's your chance.
Yeah, man. Well, first off, you mentioned there that the announcement that Bill is going to be the head of Bandit next season. I just want to say I knew it. Bill's watching. I'm trying to see if he's watching it now, but no. That kind of news is awesome. You know, like it was kind of up in the air. We weren't sure, but we're so glad that Bill decided to stay as a head of Bandit for next season. You know, the league's just it has his DNA all over it, so you can't. Nobody else would run it the way he does, and you know that's Bill's kind of the reason why we're all here. And you know, it takes everybody to make this league as fun as it is. You know, as far as broadcast and all the drivers and everybody behind the scenes. But you know, it all starts from Bill. So I'm just thankful for that news. Looking forward to next season. But other than that, man, you know, go down the sponsors. Good old Big Red Propane, TechNet, Advanced Auto Parts, Neighbors Pool Service, VIP. Pershine Auto Spa, in the league sponsor, Sueno Diazzo, and Robert Bowman of Classic Collision, and of course, Plush Automotive. Appreciate all the sponsors. I'm glad to get some good old airtime for them, man. And Marshall, you're all by yourself today, right?
No, I got Sean up in the booth with me here.
Oh, nice, Sean. Hey, man. Glad you had some company up there, man. I appreciate you guys doing the broadcast, and there's only a couple more left, so let's. Looking forward to watching a couple more times. And so, before we end this, what's the plan for after the band season? You got any leagues going?
We don't directly after it. At a certain point, I do need to be somewhat responsible, take some time to focus on my classes, which I know it's boring. It's not racing, but I'm gonna take a little bit of time. There will be some plans in the work, I'm sure, for my winter series. Just got to see how it contradicts with whatever the plan is for season 11 of Bandit. But we'll figure it out. There will be something in the works. But no, if there is, you're gonna get a call because you were in the Snowstorm series. You almost won that thing. I talk to you a lot here, Nick, don't I? All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. We're good friends.
I talk to you more than friends in my real world. I should talk to you more, and that terrifies me. But with that, Nick, it's been a pleasure as always, my man. Congratulations. Start looking for places for that ring trophy case, and again next week if you want to crash lap one. There are many people who'd be a fan, but I know it's only fair. The season you had, you've been incredible. Do your thing, my man. Get ready for Richmond and Phoenix, and I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you later. Thanks, John.
Yep.
Perfect. With that, that'll cap off your final interview of the night with still your points leader going into your last 2 races at Richmond and Phoenix, Mr. Nick Nickerson. With that, we're now ready for something a little bit different. It was kind of alluded to there in that last sort of interview segment. But we do have a little bit of news, and let's get ready for that here in just a moment. Hey, Bill, it's Marshall and Sean up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey guys, how are you guys doing tonight?
We are doing pretty well. That was an incredible race to watch. Things went really well. We had a fun time up here, and hopefully you did down there in the car as well. But we want to bring you in here, not only because you're always more deserving than anybody. You're the reason we're all here on the Bandit Racing League, but also you got some news for us, I'm sure. Nick kind of alluded to it there a moment ago, but yeah, the floor is yours.
Well, earlier this year I made the announcement that I was not coming back and that I would put the league up for the championship. And, make the offer to the top 11 first. And we had a meeting with the top 11. And we had some guys who were interested, but nobody really wanted to do it in a full capacity. They wanted to kind of find some partnerships of X, Y, Z, P, and Q. And then a couple of them even said, look, if I get it, I'm just going to shut it down because there's no way I can run it to where you've run it, which, that's a hell of a compliment. So after talking to them guys and doing some soul searching myself, I said, you know what? Let's just keep the train going. Season 11, I'm not going to say season 11 was my last because I'm just not going to say it, we have a bunch of great people in this league. The broadcast work that you guys are doing, you just can't give something up that easy like that. So, yeah, I just decided to stick around and keep the train rolling.
Well, it goes without saying, but Bill, you are the reason that this series has gone 10 seasons, which, again, as somebody who's run a series for a couple seasons in a couple different ways, is an incredible feat that I don't think can be undersold whatsoever. So I know, and I know all the drivers feel the same way. It's great to hear that you're going to be coming back, that things are going to stay not the same, but there's definitely going to be some stability there, and that the drivers can focus on drive and focus on racing for the championship and get ready for next year once it's all done. But just in general, that things will stay the way they are, because I've sincerely loved my time. I know Sean is both a commentator the last few weeks and a driver. I feel like can probably speak to that as well. Same with Chris and everybody who's involved here in the league. So I'm really excited to hear that for you, and I hope you're gonna enjoy the rest of the year, and I hope you're going to enjoy running it next season, because it should be fun. But I know a lot of guys are very dependent on it week to week, and are sincerely glad to do it. So I'm really glad to hear that, and I know everybody at home will echo that sentiment as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of stress that goes on with this, and sometimes there's some drama that goes, beyond the league, that you have to deal with as an owner, and that was getting to me at the time. Also, my poor dog, he just looks at me and he says, "Oh my God, really?" So there was just stuff weighing on my shoulders, and I thought that was a smart thing to do, but it's not. And every single person that has ever taken a lap in this league, I appreciate everybody. 11, going on 11 seasons now, we literally only have one person that's got a lifetime ban, and I don't even know how many total drivers we've had, but we've had a lot. So it says a lot for the league. It says a lot for the people here, so I'm looking forward to growing it. I don't think we're going to grow it like we did this year. I really don't know if I want to do the full field scenario again like we did, because you obviously know as the broadcaster, the races have greatly cleaned themselves up.
Yeah.
and it makes for a much more entertaining product. So, we'll look at that kind of stuff and be more, picky of where we go with that from this point forward. I think the league has finally earned its wings and its feet in racing enough to say, yeah, we can pick and choose the drivers now.
Yep.
So that's what we'll do.
Awesome. Well, I echo everything you said there, and yeah, I can't wait to see where it goes from here, and to know that these great drivers and great people are going to get to stick together is it's going to give me some peace of mind for sure, and it's going to make me very excited to finish this year and get ready for what's next. So we really appreciate it, Bill. Thank you as always, and I hope you enjoy watching this one back, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of the year, because it's going to be a fun race for whoever ends up with the title. It's going to be a fun path to get there.
Yeah, and you seen. I seen you put the rings up on the broadcast tonight of, for the winner.
Yep.
That was something that Kevin had come up with. We did a trophy last year, like a 12-inch trophy last year. And I was going to do something anyways. And then Kevin shot that to me the other day, so I went on the site and made them. And those are actually on their way, so I should have them before the end of the last race. But one thing I want to say is that you did have Nicole in the broadcast tonight.
Yep.
And actually, she is coming back next year as race control again.
Awesome.
So we've got that stability already set. So now all I gotta do is get one other person on board. What we want talking about.
Well, yes, that is the conversation. That is something we will figure out in the near future here. But yeah, I really value that stability to know she's back. And after last year, it was kind of passed around a little bit. Good to know we've really locked that down, and I think that's where the backbone of the great racing we've seen comes from. So,
absolutely. All right, thank you, Marshall. Thank you for everything you do, Sean. Thank you for stepping in the booth tonight, and as well as was it last week or week before? Week before, I think.
Week before.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill.
Yep.
There you go. With that, that is our final interview there for tonight. And again, not a winner's interview, but that will about wrap it up. But now we're going to go to the last guy we got to kind of say a quick goodbye to here. Actually, no, two last guys. We got a second to last guy who we're going to see if we can still grab him on Skype here. He's still around here. Hey, Dawson Guzik, tonight's race sponsor. You got any final thoughts up here in the broadcast booth with us?
Yeah, I just want to say good race to everybody. I really appreciate everybody watching the live stream on YouTube. Go check out Next Chapter Outdoors on Facebook and give us that like button. I want to thank Bill for letting me sponsor this race. I thought it was pretty cool for him to let us do that. And I'm really proud to say that and happy to say that he's coming back. It's a good feeling. So that gives us a home for next year. Maybe we'll sponsor a couple more races for sure. I also wanted to mention that I forgot to announce earlier that the race winner gets a T-shirt. So congratulations to Alec for winning the race. He's gonna get a Next Chapter Outdoors T-shirt, kind of similar to the one that I'm wearing right here. Actually, Bill just updated the logo, so it's gonna be a different one, but it's gonna look really good, and I hope he likes it. So just thankful for everybody that came out and watched the race, and thank you to you, Marshall, and
Awesome.
Cut out there for a second. And thank you guys for broadcasting tonight. I really appreciate it.
That is absolutely my pleasure, my man Dawson. It's been so awesome to have you on the broadcast with us. I really appreciate you getting the chance to go back out there in car and come back in. And it's good to hear. I think you'll be back for the last couple of weeks here to cap off the season to enjoy what is going to be a pretty insane run to the finish. So we sincerely thank you, and thank you on behalf of Next Chapter Outdoors for sponsoring tonight. And if you get the chance, I definitely wear one of those T-shirts too. I don't know, shipping to Canada is always hard, but something we could figure out there in the future. But
I'm sure we can make some arrangements for sure. It's a pretty cool logo, especially Bill just designed the new one. So they're pretty comfortable shirt. Once we get that figured out with the shipping and everything, I'll get one out to you.
Oh, perfect. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you, I'm sure, and if not next week, then for Phoenix. But you're always welcome up here, and I can't wait to have you back joining us.
I'll probably be in the booth maybe the next 2 weeks because I don't want to get in the way of the championship battle, and I don't feel too confident at those two tracks. So
Beautiful.
Probably broadcast is the best stay by.
Looking forward to it, my man. Thanks, Dawson. And with that, we get to our last guy up here in the broadcast booth who joined us tonight on co-commentary. As always, extremely appreciated. Great to get his perspective there from a driver's side, and always really fun to have you, Sean. I've really enjoyed you coming up here and making your debut the last couple of weeks. So before we cap off tonight, any final thoughts? And what's your takeaways from tonight at Kentucky heading into the last two races?
There's so much to say
from
just one race. You can't pinpoint words to go and describe it. He had so much good green flag runs. I was surprised that we didn't have any cautions, did we?
Nope. No, we did not.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's really all you gotta say. This series has really refined itself and its racing product down to the point where we can have a race with no cautions. Some definitely chaos. Great racing, not a ton of chaos and not a ton of cautions. That's a good mix. That's a recipe for a great race. Again, thank you sincerely, Sean, for everything you've done for the series, joining us in on commentary, and for bailing me out tonight, because a lot of guys had to got kind of sorted through here at the end. It was a busy night for the Full Send Racing Network, but it was great to have you join us. Sincerely appreciate it, my man. And now to cap it off, to thank our final our series partners here on the broadcast. Of course, iRacing, the sim that makes this all possible. Geezer Authentics, the site for all our Bandit Racing League merch. It was having some issues here. I believe it has been fixed or will be here in the very near future. So the web link is as always down below to go get yourself some merch there for the Bandit Racing League for individual drivers. Bill was wearing that Nick Nickerson shirt, that light blue #2 shirt. If you happen to like Nick Nickerson, I'm sure people out there do. I know he's the common winner. He's the Tom Brady of the Bandit Racing League, but hopefully you guys can go and check out some of his stuff. And any other driver in the series, Young Guns Racing, Jackson Knock has some, Eddie Haggy, Christopher Hamilton. I'm just naming names, but there are some guys out there that I know you'll want to get some cool stuff for. Some shirts, some hats, some pants, drinkware, everything to support the league. There's a ton out there. Go check it out there. Apex Sim Racing is your sponsor for anything sim racing equipment. So if you want to race in the Bandit Racing League, if you want to be in sim racing on iRacing, F1, anything, if you want to get into sim racing yourself, that's a great place to go. Remember, use code BANDIT for 5% off your purchase at apexsimracing.com. That's wheels, button boxes, pedal bases, anything you could ask for. That is where you want to go. Perfect Shot Auto Spa, as always, on behalf of Kevin Foster, thank you for supporting the series. The link to all their stuff is, as always, in the description as well. So is Track Camster Gourmets, our custom track cameras provider for everything here on the Full Send Racing Network. We get these cool angles like this one and a variety of the dynamic cameras you see week over week. Thank you to Track Camster Gourmets for giving us the license to use their stuff on broadcast. And if you want to get it for yourself, for your own broadcast purposes, or for personal use for photos, or whatever you want it for, or just for your everyday personal use in the sim, go check out their website. As always, you can guess where it is, linked in the description down below. Finally, EvanWallMedia.com. Thank you to Evan for always making the graphics here for this series. Hopefully, we'll be able to get him back for the final race of the season. Maybe make one more appearance. He was the former broadcaster of the series. It's always a pleasure to have him. EvanWallMedia.com. Go check out his stuff. He does custom graphics work and has a variety of cool projects coming out now. Some really cool videos and documentaries we're seeing week over week on his channel. So go check out Evan Wall Media. Links to his stuff as well in the description. With that, I am Marshall Crocker Jr., your host, your producer, your play-by-play commentator, everything, saying thank you, signing off. Have an amazing week. We'll be back, same time, same place, 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday for a race at Richmond in a week's time. Their second to last, your penultimate race of the season for the race for the championship in Season 10 of the Bandit Racing League and the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series. Thank you on behalf of everybody, on behalf of Bill Harkins, who will return to the series for Season 11, to all the drivers, and thank you on behalf of Full Send Racing Network. Have a great week, everybody. We will see you all at Richmond, and thank you one last time to Next Chapter Outdoors for sponsoring tonight's race.